Wednesday that he did not expect to win the party's presidential primaries. He also said he holds no grudges against members of his party who walked against his candidature. Well, joining us to discuss this are political analyst Bola Oba, Babashola Adebuyi, and media strategist Alfred Okoro. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Miriam.
Great. It's been a very interesting 24 hours, almost 24 hours, if you ask me. I mean, the presidential primary started yesterday, early, let's say mid-morning, and it took almost a whole day into another for the results to be read out. But I think we all were watching with keen interest. I mean, every single person had their eyes on the Eagle Square. I'm going to start with you, Bola. Was there any element of surprise for you, especially when the results were read, even at the point where certain persons were stepping down for the leader of the APC?
Not at all, to be very honest with you. Not at all, because I've always predicted or projected that an indirect primary would be paying to Bola Ahmed Tinubu's electoral capital. And the guy has built bridges for decades. He's been in building bridges since 1992. And you know what? He knows what it takes to win an election, especially an electoral college type of election. That is where when you put it into indirect election. So I've always projected that if a direct primaries were to be conducted, it would have been the vice president to lose. But in a scenario of an indirect primary, which is more of an electoral college type electioneering system, I knew he was going to take it. The margin, I may not have.
I think that we're having connection issues there with you, Bola. Mr. Oba, I think we're having connection issues with you, so I'm going to toss this question to Alfred. Alfred, what stood out for you, especially, just like I asked him, was the candidate who, came up to say, well, they would have loved to, but they would step down for Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Again, the cameras were really great at, picking the body language and the demeanor of Mr. President, the Vice President, and so many other people who sat, behind that glass. But what really stood out for you, especially for someone who's looking from the outside in?
Well, just to even support what Mr. Bola said, I agree with him 100% in the sense that for indirect primaries, this is politics at play. This is not human sentiment, none of those. And if you look at it from that perspective, Senator Tinubu, or Bat, however we want to call him, has been building this over time. If you check it, how many people has he helped to get into office? There are countless people. Do you expect these people to turn their backs on him? So the mode of primaries that APC chose favored him, or when I don't know how they chose it, but there is no way, based on the capacity he's been building, for him to get to lose this. Because pretty much everybody there, one way or the other, has benefited from his generosity, or from his politics, or from his guidance, however you want to look at it. And there is no way. I wasn't even surprised. For me, at the end of the day, you could say, if you were looking at social media a few days back, you might think others had a chance. But if you understood politics, there is no way. Now, this is not the general election that we're talking about. Mm-hmm. But like Mr. Bola said, this is indirect primaries. Mm-hmm. So you have to look at what was happening. Direct primaries, who knows? It's a toss-up. But for what happened yesterday, there was absolutely zero surprises. There might be speculation, but no surprises.
Babashola, you seem to be a bit surprised because the APC seem to be very good at spinning stories. We saw all kinds of confusion, information coming from the chairman of the party saying that the president had endorsed an Ahmed Lawan. We also saw the Kogi State governor who was saying he will not step down for anyone except Mr. President asked him to. I mean, we saw all kinds of things spinning. We even at some point got some misinformation that the vice president may be stepping down for Bola Ahmed Tinubu, but all of those things were some sorts of a social media spin. But here we are, and you seem to be a bit surprised. Why?
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I want to congratulate Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu for winning the APC ticket to contest for the presidential election come 2023. Just like everyone has said, he has been building his career, political career since 1992, just like Alhaji Abubakar Atiku. So today, he has finally gotten the ticket to contest for the position, the highest office in Nigeria. Now, I was not surprised actually, except I've been deceiving myself. The truth is, if you are contesting for a position, there are some things you ought to have done that would have benefited a lot of people, a lot of political career in the country. Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been in this position for a very long time. If he was a governor for 8 years, he appointed a lot of people. He had been spending resources on a lot of people, a lot of things. We can also remember how he was able to fight in Lagos to get the resources of Lagos State local government fund that was held by the federal government. Now, the guy is contesting. He has the structure all over the country. He has the structure all over the country. A lot of people saw something in him, and he believed so much in himself. We cannot compare him with others. Let me use Professor Yemi Osinbajo. Professor Yemi Osinbajo became the vice president on a platter of gold. He was not a politician. He was appointed or nominated to be the vice president to President Muhammad Buhari. On being the vice president, he refused to build his own political structure. I cannot point to anything in Nigeria that I can say is the political impact of the vice president.
But I'm sorry, Babashola, let me just quickly come in there. I don't want to talk over you. You sound like this is unprecedented. Let's take you back down history. Former President Goodluck Jonathan was also not necessarily a politician per se. He was a career, let's say, public servant. Now, he rose from being a deputy governor to being a vice president and then a president. So when you sound like he was on a platter of gold, we can also refer to Goodluck Jonathan as someone who has been lucky his whole political career. I mean, if the stars had aligned, maybe that could have been the case for Yemi Osinbajo.
They are totally different.
I beg your pardon.
They are totally different. Goodluck Jonathan was a deputy governor. Yes, maybe the political career. He became the governor. And before we knew it, he became the vice president in Nigeria. So you cannot compare Goodluck Jonathan with Professor Osinbajo. Now, we are talking of Professor Osinbajo, who was a lawyer defending his clients, going to court, doing all those things. I think the only political appointment he had was being a commissioner of justice in Lagos.
With an attorney general,
and
yes.
After, yes, being a commissioner, it was a career for him, not a political career per se. Now, all of a sudden, from nowhere, they said, okay, we are appointing Osinbajo to be the vice president to the nominated presidential candidate of party. So it is totally different. Now, it became the vice president. There is no political base, no structure, no political impact. Even wherever, what the guy has been for the past 7 years is to be supporting the president. And now coming out to contest for the president.
Oh dear, I think we also,
Did we lose him?
We've lost you there. Let me quickly toss now back to Bola. Bola, we lost. Okay, you've come back. Okay, great, go ahead.
Okay, truly, I actually stand by him in this. I wish he's the winner, but unfortunately, the truth has to be told. The political in political terrain, Professor Osinbajo is not it at all.
Well,
You know, please, if I may, the way I actually want to look at this is, in support of what Mr. Shola is saying, is that this is completely different from the ex-president Goodluck, because number one is that on whose platform is the VP running on? It would have been different if Senator Tinubu was not running and anointed the VP to run on his behalf like he ran as a VP, because that's the political structure. You need a structure.
But
This is politics we're
But
talking
Alfred, do
about.
you think that the vice president, out of the blues, just woke up because he had a vision from God to be the president? Do you not think that there had been the hand of Esau in this matter, saying, well, I think that you should run, being that he's deputizing someone? Don't you think he got a nod of sorts to be where he was?
Well, that is up for speculation, because I personally, in my own capacity, I don't have any insider information. Do not believe he woke up to run against his principle. But his challenge is, it doesn't change the fact that you're running against your principle, regardless of how we look at it. At the end of the day, we all know how he became the vice president of the country. I mean, he ran a general election. He ran a general election, don't get me wrong.
Let me quickly add this to what Alfred said. Hello?
Yes, go
Yes,
ahead,
right.
Bola.
Like the other two Pentecostal participants in that competition, he woke up on the wrong side of the bed one day and decided to run.
And you know this
Look,
how?
let's be brass knuckle honest with ourselves. One, the leader of the church where he worships and where he's a pastor, and he had once prophesied that a member of the church was going to rule Nigeria. Number one. Number two, and the reason why I want to believe that he woke up one day being conceited that the voice of God was telling him to run was the same thing that Tunde Bakare. This is the fourth occasion that Tunde Bakare would give the impression that he was chasing an evangelistic prophecy and would come out with, but you see, in Pentecostalism, not only in Nigeria, I witnessed it in England, and I've read so much about it in Latin America. These people don't feel remorseful. They have no contrition. So this one has missed the target. They will do another blind this. Apart from it, there was another pastor, there was another Pentecostal pastor in yesterday's this. So I'm sitting there now, knowing that I told a forum of the supporters of BP that they added me to about 6 months ago. If it was going to be a direct practice, let's be very honest with ourselves, it would have garnered more traction than it did yesterday. But indirect primaries, especially in an environment where poverty has been weaponized and has been turned into a kind of bait for the delegates, he had no chances.
Okay.
In fact,
Okay.
I was even thinking when others were stepping down, it was going to step down. I did not even think Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Yemi Osinbajo will be contesting against each other. In fact, I was telling my friend yesterday that Yemi Osinbajo will have no choice than to step down. But I was surprised that the guy went ahead to contest.
Well,
All
right,
maybe because of an assurance.
All right, gentlemen, let's be orderly. Let me go back to the politics of it all. Let's talk about this Bola Ahmed Tinubu win, because yes, now he's the flag bearer of the APC. People will start hitting the numbers. People will start talking about what change can he bring to the country? What turnaround can we see? Is this going to be business as usual? Again, looking at all of the people who are stacked as flag bearers for other parties. I mean, we might not know the names of so many of them, but we have also on one hand an Atiku Abubakar, we have a Peter Obi somewhere in the corner, we also have a Kwankwaso in the NNPP. These are some of the candidates that we know who Tinubu will be up against. So I'm going to come back to you now, Alfred. What is the capital, or rather, what is the workability or the realistic aspects that a Tinubu win brings to these elections in itself?
You see, I'm going to actually even go a little further in this, because let's not confuse being a leader to being a good manager. You see, one of the things that we're going to look at, a leader builds a coalition. A leader appoints people. A leader sees things before others see it. A leader provides solution. Do I expect Bola Ahmed Tinubu to wake up every day running up and down? No, I expect him to appoint people to positions, square pegs to square holes, things like that. For me, I honestly believe this is APC's election to lose, simply because they did not break apart. If APC had broken apart in the primaries, that's a different thing, because now, if we look at the whole picture, you can confidently say that PDP is going to have a problem in the Southeast. Now, take away the Southeast votes for PDP. That's going to Labour Party. I would say majority of it. Now, you divide it. Where are the votes coming from? Will the Southwest vote PDP? I doubt it. So it's the northern votes we're splitting. Who's going to have a problem? Who's not going to have a problem? I do not know, but general elections are different ballgames. Just like Mr. Bola said, there was no contest the moment this was an indirect primary. Now, on the capacity of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, it depends on what angle you're looking at it. I see him as a leader. Whether he's the greatest leader or not is a different ballgame. But you can tell that this man knows how to build a coalition. This man knows how to build a team. This man knows how to empower people. Now, look at his contestants. If we look at Peter Obi, ex-governor Peter Obi, if you look at Kwankwaso, if you look at ex-VP Atiku, which of them compared, if you compare all four together, which of them would you say has a bigger base? Which of them would you say have a bigger disciple? Which of them would you say is a bigger maker of men in terms when politics is involved? When we're talking about this, who supports people running primaries? Who supports people in their own elections and all that? I think that's what it's going to come down to. The support of the people who builds a bigger tent for others to feed into. And at this point, I would say it's Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Okay.
It is election to lose.
Let me come back to you, Babashola. What are the consequences of a Tinubu win? This is a different way of asking the same question. Because many people would say, like he has said, he thinks that he can build a coalition. But then he also said in the same breath that being a leader and a good manager are two different things. Now, Nigeria does need leadership, but in also needing leadership, we need good managers. You see where everything is going, in the direction it is going. Insecurity, the economy, unemployment. I mean, the list is endless. What is the implication of a Tinubu win for this country as it is right now?
Okay. For Tinubu, I believe that majorly is health. There is no doubt that the man is not, there is no doubt that the man is not 100% healthy. Of course, there is not. But his health, all of us can say it, even in the public domain. So the question is, will his health permit him to concentrate more on the job at hand? That's number one. Number two, who are the people that be selected for position? Because being a leader requires a lot of things. It requires responsibility and accountability. If you appoint people to do a job and you don't have that strength to monitor, to require for accountability from them, definitely it's going to affect your government. That's number two. He has, when he was the governor of Lagos State, he was able to do some things, and the people will say, "Oh, it's the builder of Lagos State." And there are also a lot of accusations against Ahmed Tinubu on how he has bought the whole Lagos, on how he has all those things. So now he needs to prove that, being the president of Nigeria, he needs to prove that come, I'm a plain man. I am not corrupt as any people, as you people have been calling me, and I'm ready to do what is necessary to bring the glory of Nigeria out. To make people believe that there is something in Nigeria that can attract people from abroad for a foreign investment and make Nigerians themselves believe in themselves. If Bola Tinubu fails in this aspect of doing the right thing, of fighting corruption, of introducing the true federalism he has been campaigning for, if he fails of introducing the restructuring he has been campaigning for me, he has only been saying something for the purpose of winning an election. We need true federalism in this country. We need what is called restructuring in this country.
I'm tempted to ask you this question, and I want you to quickly answer so I can go to Bola Oba. Just as you said, that if he's unable to, if that's the probability there, if he even gets to win the general elections, but then that probability is something that, I don't know, let me ask it as a question. Is it something that we can afford? Can we afford to toss a coin again as a country? Remember, I asked where we are now in 2022. Can we afford to try again and see, or should we be more deliberate? I'm asking this because President Buhari is somebody who tried to run for this office 4 times. The 4th time he had the opportunity. He told us everything that we wanted to hear. He promised, he made very lofty promises. And I don't want to say anything but ask, has he been able to scratch the surface of all of those things? So should we be going out on a limb again this time around?
Every politician you meet will tell you what you want to hear. It's a different ball game when they get to the office. Whether he is going to do it or not, we don't have a choice. We have Atiku, we have him, and we have Peter Obi.
We do not have a choice, really?
Yeah, I'm going there. We don't have a choice because until they get there, until they get to the office, they'll be able to say, oh, he said it and he did it. As far as I'm concerned, they are all promises. They are all promises, and promises, you cannot hold anybody for promising you anything. You can only hold them for owing you. So if they fail in promises, it is promise. Okay. So you can't hold them. You can only use it against them. Maybe in the subsequent election.
All right, let me come to you.
You see, to even add to that. Okay. No.
Yeah, let me just quickly, I'll come back to you, Alfred. Let me quickly go to Bola. Bola, we see that the PDP is having closed-door meetings right now. As soon as they heard the win, we got reports that the PDP and, of course, the PDP governors, I beg your pardon, and the presidential candidate of the PDP were in closed-door meetings today. What do you think the strategy would be? I'm asking because judging from what Babashala is saying is that, well, maybe we don't have, our hands are tied. We just wait until the person gets into office, then we can decide if they're capable of doing what they've asked us to do. But what about the voter also preempting these politicians so that they do not feel that we really have our hands tied behind our backs?
This election, in the 2023 presidential elections, you are going to have 3 alumni of the Shehu Musa Yar'Adua's School of Politics. Plutocracy matched with kleptocracy, playing the advantage of weaponizing, of using poverty as a weapon against the electorate. Don't fool yourself. Atiku, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Kwankwaso, they were disciples of Shehu Musa Yar'Adua, and they were members of the PDM movement. If any one of my colleagues remembers. Now, if you look at the politics of Atiku, and the politics of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and even the ostensibly the populist politics of Kwankwanso, we can see that the two most successful out of them are the two who have replicated what Shehu Musa Yar'Adua did, especially in the Southwest. When it came, I once had a personal encounter, a personal occasion with Baba Adedibu before he passed on. And I said, Baba Adedibu, how could a Shehu Musa Yar'Adua come all the way from Katsina and come down to Ibadan and Lagos and come and defeat the likes of Jakonde and some of the other greats of Awolowo in Awolowo School of Politics? And you know what Baba Adedibu told me? Baba Adedibu told me in classical Oyo Yoruba, the which I will transliterate. I will endeavor to translate that, but the guy knew how to play politics with money. My brother Atiku and Bola Ahmed Tinubu today became the flag bearers of the two major political parties in Nigeria because they have always used money to build bridges.
So quickly, where does that leave us? Because we complain about the level of corruption, even under a government that had sworn that they were going to fight corruption. Where does that leave us? If we're buying votes at the party level, what happens to the general elections? In closing,
corruption is not a problem in Nigeria.
Is
Anywhere in the world, in any liberal democracy, there is corruption. You need a leader who can spin ideas there and create a team that can chase good ideas. You are not as corrupt as Southern Italy. You are not. The last three out of the four governors of the state of Illinois in America are in prison. Buhari messed up our politics by making you people believe that corruption is a problem. That is why under Buhari and the lack of creativity and value innovation, we are deeper in the mess.
Okay.
And he has eventually has to capitulate to corruption.
Okay.
Corruption is not a problem in Nigeria. Your problem is lack of leadership, creativity, and value innovation in leadership. Because Nigerians are entrepreneurially, we are so entrepreneurially powerful that when we see a good ball, we can chase and make good value of it.
All right, because we're running out of time. Quickly, Alfred, you wanted to chip in something. We need to wrap up.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead. Please.
Go ahead.
No, I actually agree a little bit of what Mr. Bola said along with what Mr. Shola said, because number one is that, I want to agree that corruption is not Nigeria's problem. Corruption is an extract of a major problem. Okay, so it's not our immediate problem. It's an extract. Something is leading towards that. I feel our biggest problem is vacuum of leadership. Now, if we talk about the issue, if we talk about where really are we going, number one is that we don't run an ideology-based politics. Somebody can move from APC to PDP, from PDP to Labour, with zero consequence. So what really option do we have? We want to believe we have options. We have individuals that are running for power. None of them is running based on an ideology. Who's a conservative? Who's a liberal? Who's a moderate? We do not know. I believe our democracy is still too young. And number one is, let's not get caught up with this issue of instant gratification. Just like you mentioned, can we afford to? Why can't we afford to? Nothing happens automatically. It takes time. You have to build it. It's a question of, now, let's even get people to participate. We first have to start playing inclusive politics, whereby if somebody makes a promise, like Mr. Shola said, if somebody makes a promise and does not perform, punish him at the polls in the next election. We cannot always be in a hurry saying, we don't have time, we don't have time. Since when have we been saying this? Since 1999, who has ever paid politically for corruption? So if you ask me, at the end of the day, I would hope Nigeria wins. And by Nigeria winning, it's not just about who won. It's a question of How did you win? Why did we vote for you? I also believe in protest votes, whereby rather than voting for these two people, let me vote for someone else to make you realize that, you know what, my vote counts. I don't think Nigeria will get fixed in this
That is
cycle.
why I will campaign for Peter Obi. I will campaign for Peter Obi in this round of election.
Okay,
I
all right.
really want Peter Obi to get more than 2 million.
Okay, we have to go. We have to go. And this is no. There's no room for campaigning on this show. Not today. I'll send you an invoice if you have to. Well, I want to say thank you, gentlemen. Time is not on our side. Bola Oba, Babashola Adebui, and Alfred Okolo, I want to appreciate you guys for being part of the conversation.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Well, thank you all for talking with us. We will take a quick break, and when we come back, we will be looking at what one of the presidential aspirants, Ogbonnaya Onu, had to say about the issue of zoning in the APC. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
So what are the top decisions that the United States considers necessary that Nigeria must take? I like to think of my interactions as conversations, not interviews. And that's why I say asking questions is both an art and a science. Everyone says in Islam you are allowed to have 4 wives. Is it mandatory? The right question enables answers that educate, inform, clarify, and help you, the viewer, to better understand the issue before making up your mind.
Our goal is to reduce from 10 to 2 days the time it takes to register businesses in Nigeria.
Join me every week on this station, Plus TV Africa, and gain exclusive access to my conversations. I'm Angela Ajetomobi.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamode Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on Plus TV Africa as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamode Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
In raising our kids, parents should stop playing God.
The internet is actually using the people.
But when you are looking for money to help other people, then it becomes easy.
Don't rush into marriage. I always say this. You rush in, you rush out.
Family is the bedrock of every society and the essence of life.
On Today with John and Helen, we dig deep into family values in every sense of the word.
Join us every Saturday at 9:15 a.m. on Plus TV Africa, DSTV channel 408.
With you, we play a part in strengthening the values passed from generation to generation.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bukky November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
You see, the greatest robbery of this election, Marianne, is the fact that it has been, because of the misrule of President Muhammadu Buhari, it has become an ethnic issue rather than an economic issue, rather than an issue of saving our education sector, rather than the insecurity in the Northeast and in all parts of the North. Now everybody is more concerned about where the president comes from than what the president can do, because everybody has seen the marginalization, the ethnicentrism that has been at play under the APC.
There is a northern president that will be completing 8 years in 2023. And let me restate that the presidency is not of the party. The presidency is the president of the country. So whether it is APC or whether it is PDP or whether it is any other party, he is the president of Nigeria, not the president of the party. And for us, and I speak on behalf of Afeni Ferret, Ohanes Indigo, Sandel, and the Middle Belt Forum, under the auspices of Southern and Middle Belt leaders. And I'm restating the position of that forum, that any political party in Nigeria, any of the major political parties, there are political parties that we know that are motion parties, any of the major political parties, particularly APC and PDP, that feel the other candidates will not have our support. And it's a statement of fact.
Journalism in Nigeria is an all-commerce affair. Why is it an all-commerce affair? It's only in journalism where you see somebody who read an engineering course or maybe a medical course, practicing as either a broadcaster or a reporter, doing stories, somebody who probably read psychology in school, So there is the lack of, what should I say, standardization, So all of these things, pose a very serious challenge, in terms of staying on stories and following up on stories.
The Southeast governors, led by the governor of Ebonyi State, has to really sit down again to redefine what they established as the Eastern Security Network. The Ebubago Security Network. Yes. The Ebubago Security Network was meant to be a regional security outfit like Amotekun. But if we watch the way the different other 3 governors or 4 governors of the Southeast have been acting or behaving, it does appear that Ebubago has only been operating in Ebonyi. And that I won't talk about it, because what is even doing in Ebonyi, it is not going after their non-government, it's only going after political opponents.
Okay, agreed, yes. PDP and APC, the 2 major parties, they have a zoning formula which they have been applying since the democratic dispensation came into play. But then, what we see playing out today is like it is function of the entire system. All of a sudden, everybody is saying, oh, we don't believe in zoning. We don't want to follow zoning anymore. So something is, definitely wrong in the structure of these 2 political parties. And this is where the Igbo leaders need to go to first.
It's still Plus Politics. Now, Dr. Ogbonnaya Onu, a former Minister of Science and Technology, has questioned the All Progressive Congress APC over its failure to zone the 2023 presidential ticket to the Southeast. Onu disclosed this yesterday at the Eagle Square while delivering his agenda to the party delegates just before the commencement of the voting at the presidential primaries. He asked, and I quote, "Where is the justice?" adding that he sacrificed his presidential ambition in the past just so 2 candidates from the Southwest could run. Take a listen.
Mr. President will be completing his tenure by 29th of May next year. I think, naturally, it should be somebody from the Southeast. I'm not saying this because I'm from the Southeast. Somebody from the Southeast that will now replace him. And that will give the opposite of South versus North and Christian versus Muslim. And it will bring stability to our nation. It will strengthen the unity of Nigeria. And I believe that this should have been done. And I personally, 23 years ago, I made a personal sacrifice when there were 3 parties and I held the presidential ticket of one of the 3. But I had to let it go in order to solve a problem in the Southwest, to make sure that 2 Olus contested for the presidency that head or tail, one will become a president. And that brought down tension in the country. And this is what would have happened if we allow the Southeast to, which is the, I mean, look at it. The Southwest has 8 years as president, 8 years as vice president. Well, can you, at the South, they have 8 years vice president and president. Where is the justice? Where is the justice?
Well, that's the question. Where is the justice? And I remember watching that, and there was a loud booing coming from the crowd of delegates who were representing every state in the Federation. So I think the question that came to mind was, he was obviously making sense, but why was he getting that much apprehension from a group of delegates in a party that he belonged to?
Okay, so thank you very much. I think, good evening, viewers. I think that why I would hazard a guess that as to why that booing was happening, because it was more or less almost over in terms of the fact that this wasn't a place to begin to ask for justice. Yes, it was a place to agitate, show your agitation verbally, but it may not have much effect if you've not been planning. He made a lot of sense. In fact, a lot of things that he said was actually factual, especially for, if you look at every region coming out to, of course, agitate for that shift of power. We're talking about the supreme power now, as in terms of the real crux of what everybody's searching for. And he's thinking to himself, since 1999 that we became civilian democracy, we've had a northern president, we've had a south president, we've had the southwest president, and we don't have southeast president. And he, when the three parties merged to form APC, was critical. In fact, was one of the pillars of the AMPP who came together to form that party. But there's a lot of play that happens before you get to this point. And I'm guessing that that's the reason why that booing was happening. But if you think very deeply about it, it made a lot of sense, because it runs even much more deeper than that, down to the appointments, down to appointments at federal appointments, down to the local government distribution, down to as much as the security agencies, spread of security agencies. So, for instance, out of 16 heads of security agencies, I mean, you don't have any from Southeast extraction.
I want to take you on that, but ladies and gentlemen, Ihe Ibeji is a political analyst, also joining us via Zoom is a legal practitioner, Obinna Chukwu. But Ihe, I want to take you on that. I have had this conversation over and over again about appointments, about people from the Southeast or even the South, you know, leading or heading, you know, being chief of army staff or naval staff. And they would tell you that we don't have a huge number of these men and women in those forces. And that you have more of, you know, people from the north, the northeast, the northwest, the north central, in those areas, and that's why most of the time you see them rising to those positions. It's debatable. It's debatable, but this is what they say. Also, for Anabunaya, some people would say that what he says, or you know, talks about as a sacrifice of sorts, would be, so for some would be that he was rigged out of that office or that position. And so why is he saying that he, you know, sacrificed it, or is he trying to say that he was a Goodluck Jonathan in this instance?
Well, I mean, before every appointment is made, it's called positioning. So I mean, every region positions themselves. I mean, for a region to understand the strategic nature of a handshake across very different divides, you need to begin to position yourselves. You need to position yourselves up to the point where you have fully top-ranked officers who can take over at the highest level of positions, highest level of offices. But then again, it also behoves on the president and the top office to appoint, make such appointments. So even if you position yourself up to that top rank and the president does not deem it necessary, you will not get that position. So for instance, you have an IGP, for instance, who maybe has not gotten up to the level of a DIG, so to speak, and is going to be picked to be made an IG, what normally would happen is what? I mean, every other person who is above him
is retired.
Is retired. So that's how it works. So at the end of the day, it all boils down to not just the preference of the president, but that federal character and the equity, which is one of the things that we are talking about. So aside positioning, that also comes into play. The political evaluation and political strategizing in the power structure, it has to work that way. And so far, unfortunately, it hasn't worked very well for the Southeast. If you look at the spread of the political appointments within this circle, if I may, you look at the Northwest has 37. You look at North Central, 21. You look at Southwest, 64. You look at Northeast, 29. You look at South, 24. And you look at the Southeast, 15. So these are some of the things that you begin to look at, and you begin to put one or two together, and you ask yourself, okay, so where is the equity? And that's exactly, these are some of the things that bring the angers to what he's saying. But you also need to understand the fact that there is a role that is played, as I said earlier on, by the political class, by the presidency, and there's a role that's played by the region. The region needs to begin to bond together.
I was about to toss that question to you, Barrister Chukwu. We've heard the Southeast complain over and over again about being given the short end of the stick. Always, whether it be a government that is even under a South-South government or a Southwest government, the Southeast always seems to be getting the short end of the stick. And Ihe is also saying that maybe there's a death of positioning and structuring that would put you in a position where you would be picked for these offices, or even for the Southeast to be able to spread and say, well, it's our turn, and are able to also make sure that they get that turn. But what's your take?
Okay, first, thank you for having me. This has become a recurring thing in the Nigerian polity. I think, to me, this appears to be the closest that Southeast or people from the Southeast have got into in terms of being the flag bearer of a ruling political party. Why did I say that? Because at least up to midnight or early hours of this morning, at least the winner of the APC primaries was not known until the vote started to roll by and the counting started. But for me, I will say that we need to de-emphasize this issue of every time or any time we are close to a political, saying, okay, let me be specific, the primaries for presidential election. You begin to hear politicians shout, mention one region or the other. I think we need to de-emphasize that. Let us, if what Nigeria wants to follow is to allow for the best candidate to emerge, we should completely take a dive into that and allow that to work. What that will now mean will be that whoever that will be elected or that will fly the ticket of a political party will be by merit. I don't understand why
but is there not also a loophole in that? Because you see, merit can also, one way or the other, put certain persons, in a corner. Again, merit can be that, oh, this guy is smart, he's intelligent, but then how many people does he have lined up behind him? That's what pushes again, because politics is a game of numbers, not necessarily about sentiment. So you might be smart, you might be good, you might merit it, but then we don't give it to you because you don't have the numbers.
No. So what happens then? Marianne, what I'm saying is that I don't like this in one breath. The politicians will be shouting north and south, left zone to north and south. in another breath, you will see the politicians do exactly opposite. If the main aim, or maybe to encourage stability and inclusiveness, and Nigerians or the political parties decide to now go zoning, why don't we go allow that zoning to work, or allow the zoning to get to the extreme? For instance, over from 1999 up to into this administration, the issue of zoning between North and South worked until we got to the point where the zoning was again to come to the South. And looking at the South, you will see that the only region or zone that has not taken a shot at the presidency from 1999 till now is the Southeast. Ordinarily, for equity and fair play, it should have been zoned like it was zoned in 1999 to the Southwest. It should have been zoned to the Southeast. What do we have? What we are hearing is North-South, North-South, North-South. If we are zoning across the two regions, North and South, it therefore means that one particular region should not be allowed to produce the president at every given time.
Okay.
That's why I now said, if we want to do away with zoning, let us completely do away with zoning.
Okay.
And let it be, like as it were, survival of the fittest, or whoever, let the candidate that has the clout, the candidate that has the money. For instance, I know that whatever that will come out of this, particularly the two big political parties, the PDP and the APC, I can tell you that's not the will of the people.
Okay.
It is the will of money.
Okay.
Those that can be able to raise the millions, they are the ones that contested. I can even tell you, maybe it's by sheer luck that those that contested came from a particular region. Some came from the north, some came from the southeast, and some came. But if you look at them, you will see the whole thing is an assemblage of millionaires or billionaires in Nigeria.
All right.
That does not in any shape or form reflect Nigerians.
All right, let me come to Ihe because we are almost out of time. Ihe, where do we go from here? Because he's made very interesting points. It seems like it's a convenient, rhetoric to put out there every campaign season. How do we change the narrative going forward? Because we can't keep coming back here every election cycle.
I totally accept what he says when he speaks to meritocracy. But you see, we have 6 geopolitical zones and 774 local governments spread across the nation. And there's meritocracy that exists in all of that. How do we change the narrative? We need to look deep into the equitable distribution of political offices. So, I mean, the two positions, the two key parties, APC and PDP, have Southwest and the North. And then, incidentally, the Southeast has one in the Labour Party, even though it's not the front line. It's not considered front line, so to speak. But we need to begin to look at whoever is the winner must be magnanimous in victory and actually implement federal character. As for Dr. Obunaya's position, the region, the Southeast region, which I am from, must bond together really strongly and begin to reassert themselves now, as for the now. I would say you have a candidate already. We bond around him and we push for it. On the other hand, we speak with one voice. 7 years ago, APC flag bearer has started to plan. Yesterday, we saw governors from member Southwest states step down for him. He had done a handshake across the divide. We had about 3 or 4 candidates from Southeast extraction, and they all stood on the podium. Some stepped down for the Southwest candidate. No bonding together. These are very crucial points that we need to take to heart.
Well, unfortunately, time is not on our side, but we will revisit this conversation, of course, because campaign season is upon us, and there is a lot to talk about. But Ihe Ibeji is a political analyst, and Obinna Chukwu is a legal practitioner. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being part of the conversation. All right. Well, this is where we wrap up on the show today. It's been a very interesting 48 hours, if you ask me. But tomorrow is another day. We'll be talking for development. I am Mary Anacone. Have a good evening.
Nigeria, by extension, Africa, is faced with a lot of challenges. The growing youth population with little engagement, that is a ticking time bomb. We are a blessed people with diverse culture and highly cerebral minds who have a lot to say. And yes, we are talking. It is important we drive the right conversation that informs, inspires, influences thought and action. If we say there's beauty in our diversity, then let us embrace our diverse culture. We must continue to courageously be the voice of transformation as we are the hope for the future. Yesterday's conversations shape today. What are you saying to shape your tomorrow? We know you have a lot to say, and we are here to hear you.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them. If you no talk, then go beat you. Now 2,500 they pay.
For upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bukky November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
welcome to What Are You Saying? #Ways, where we talk about topics in the news as it affects us all. I am Musayuame Saleh, and today, this week has been two aside. It's been two aside all through this week. How are you, Isi Ofodele?
I have been good. That is me.
How are
proud
you?
one at that.
How are you? How are you?
Well, thank you.
How?
I've had a wonderful day. It's been interesting, especially listening to the radio and watching television and getting the story on the primaries currently going on across.
Currently going on a bit has finished happening.
Yes, at least is it. But, you know, what we had today has been interesting, basically. Like Mariam said, she said
are you surprised at the outcome of the APC primaries?
Not really, not really, because we know that the winner of the primaries is a force to be reckoned with in the political world. So yes, I wasn't really surprised. However, my heart still goes out to the fact that I would have loved to have seen, you know, Sibanjo come in as well.
Really?
Yes.
You know that in Nigeria, elections are not by sweet speeches.
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right, so we want to discuss loyalty, right? We don't have any guests, it's just us, C and I. Want to discuss the subject of loyalty, and here's what we found on today's quote. Loyalty cannot be blueprinted, it cannot be produced on an assembly line. In fact, it cannot be manufactured at all, for its origin is the human heart, the center of self-respect and human dignity. It is a force which leaps into being only when conditions are exactly right for it, and it is a force very sensitive to betrayal. Okay. All right, so Nigerian lawyer, author, and human rights activist Reno Omokri took a bold swipe at the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, labeling him a treacherous Judas. Omokri, in a tweet on his official Twitter handle that at Reno Omokri, said, "I have no sympathy for Osinbajo, a treacherous Judas of a pastor. Someone nominated you to stand in for him. You went there to stand in for yourself. You, what elections have you won on your own in your life without the help of Tinubu? I may dislike Tinubu, but I respect loyalty." He accused Professor Yemi Osinbajo of betraying the former governor of Lagos State, the APC chieftain, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is now the official presidential flag bearer for the APC, right? So today we want to focus on this subject of loyalty. And we are asking, how important is loyalty in leadership? Well, we'll do that much later, but first, let's take a break to see what we found in the news. All right, you're still watching Ways World Ocean Day 2022. Every year on June 8th, it is observed to make people more aware of the ocean and its resources in order to promote ocean and environmental conservation worldwide. The goal of the day, according to the United Nations, is to raise awareness about the impact of human activities on the oceans and to form a united front for ocean life. The theme for World Ocean Day 2022 is Revitalization, Collective Action for the Ocean. All right. Are you a lover of the sea?
Oh, yes, I am.
I had lunch with someone today that he was just so drawn to, like he felt like going to go and sleep beside the water. I said, please, by all means, maybe you have some, what's it called? Mommy water in your family lineage, you never can tell. But there are some people that, so I remember one time when I was really feeling depressed and all of that. I remember that, I had to go to a beach, I just took off my shoes and I walked on the shores.
Absolutely, enjoying
really
the feel of nature.
Yeah, that's
yes.
really therapeutic.
And another thing is that, when I caught the phrase of revitalizing the ocean. It's crucial that we do this, especially due to climate change and the fact that we are yet to pay attention to the role of the sea in terms of climate change.
And again, you know,
So-
all these things about, you know, preserving the ocean.
Yeah.
We've said this time and time again, but it's like nobody is listening. You
And
know,
I
we
saw a
talk about-
documentary. I was going to tell you that I saw a documentary on
Plastics.
on plastics being dumped in the ocean, and aside from that, other types of debris was actually dumped in the ocean. And this lady actually took her time, made a documentary on it, and also showed the effect on sea life, what it was having on the impact of it on sea life. And it is important that we also preserve aquatic animals. Is also important.
Okie dokie, what
Yes,
did you
I mean,
find for us in the news?
Alrighty, in the news, it was quite interesting. I didn't want to talk about anything political, and I didn't know we were going to talk about something political today. And it's on Vanguard, and it says Intercontinental Cultural Exchange, Choice International Business School pilot Mandarin class for Nigerian employees. And, you know, this is so interesting because it talks about the introduction of Mandarin into the school. And it's a school in Lagos. And it says recently the first Mandarin training class, which is the language being spoken by the Chinese, was introduced to improve the Mandarin level of Nigerian employees. And it's a class that was jointly organized by the Choice International Business School and Confucius Institute, in bracket, in conjunction with University of Lagos chapter. So we have I need to get the name. During the training, a total of about 16 employees were the ones that actually completed the course and passed the course with excellent results. And the chief director of the institute is Chief Diana Chen. So she's actually a Chinese as well. So I think it's a beautiful thing. Why I took this story is the fact that, you know, we've been talking about creating awareness in terms of languages, getting interest in Spanish, having interest in French, diversifying our language skills. So learning Mandarin is another, you know, thing that will actually catch the attention of individuals who would like to upscale or get to know or have some sort of interpreting skills. So the school is also on ground for us to actually learn Mandarin. I don't want to go into the fact that, you know, we are already owing China a lot of money. So maybe this is just a sneak peek into what we are going to see in the future.
Okay, so this is actually in line with what we're discussing. Because I don't know where you're getting Mandarin, but the truth is, Mandarin is, if you want to become a global
citizen.
No. If you want to be globally relevant,
yeah,
right, Mandarin is one of the languages to look out for. You know, because the economy is doing really well. So when you see that the economy is doing well, there's no harm in learning their language.
In learning the languages,
right,
exactly.
So the real reason Osinbajo lost the APC presidential primaries, you know, this is according to Miftaudeen Raji. You know, there were a lot of speculations, and people had predicted that the vice president was going to sustain some bruises, obviously challenging, you know, his leader and benefactor, you know, who is arguably one of Nigeria's political enigma, you know, and leading presidential aspirant, right? So there were speculations, but of course, inactions and unpronounced support of Buhari. While it's an open secret that Osinbajo is riding on the influence of his superior, President Muhammadu Buhari, to clinch the party's ticket, this was not reciprocated, rather not even in the president's body language. So there was no real support from the president. It's not far-fetched that Buhari is known for being hesitant and indecisive at critical times when the party needs it the most. So this was evident in how Buhari managed the issue of the APC flag bearer until the eve of the primary. So this obviously rubbed off on Osinbajo because the vice president was expectedly banking on the support of his principal to secure the victory at the primaries. Unfortunately, Buhari was neither near here nor there, which this apparently left Professor Osinbajo seemingly helpless in the middle of all the intrigues and ruling party keenly contested, primaries. So failure for the consensus plot. According to this guy, there was failure for the consensus plot. Then Tinubu's firm grip of the Southwest. Then he says the party structure. Osinbajo will not have the luxury of control that Tinubu had built over the years in that party structure. So these were just a few, pointers that was, that was said that maybe those were the reasons why the vice president lost. Because his own failure was really it was almost like, I want to disgrace you, because, you would think that because of his position as a vice president, probably he would have even come second, but he came actually third, right behind Chibuike Rotimi Amaechi. So, what are your thoughts?
Well, if you ask me, I would say that, politics is a beautiful game. It's such a dynamic game. The more you look, the less you see, And I still don't think that the vice president actually, bit the finger that fed him or that gave him that, rope. Yes, I still don't think so. Because at the end of his speech, the president did, the candidate, the presidential aspirant.
Flag bearer now, please.
Yes, okay, flag bearer.
The presidential flag bearer.
Yes, currently did actually give the vice president some sort of recognition for standing behind him and being loyal to him.
To him as
his
principal.
So
you see this subject of loyalty. You know what? Let's take a break.
Relative.
Because
it's
you see this loyalty.
relative.
I want to hear your thoughts, Biko. We're not calling in, but at least sending your messages. We'll read all as much as we can. But let's take a break. When we come back from the break, we want to discuss the subject of loyalty. Stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, thanks for staying with us. Now, according to N2 Growth, there have always been those who have fostered trust and earned loyalty, as well as those who have abused both for personal gain. But in this, what have you done lately for me society that we have? What have you done lately for me society that we have? Where relationships have degenerated into little more than stepping stones, loyalty seems to be very evasive at best. One of a leader's most important functions is to create an environment where trust and loyalty are the rules and not the exception. If relationships are the currency of leadership, it is important for leaders to note that loyalty serves as the cornerstone of any healthy relationship. Leadership and loyalty go hand in hand. In fact, so much so that leaders who fail to understand this simply won't endure the test of time. While successful leaders share many common traits, all great leaders have one thing in common. They are not only adept to earning the loyalty of those they lead, but they also recognize that loyalty is a two-way street. When it comes to loyalty, the simple rule is that you will not receive what you will not give. Now, although most will agree that the Vice President, Osinbajo, gave a good speech, like Isi alluded to, that should have earned him some massive support at the just concluded primaries, one can't help but wonder how much impact his alleged disloyalty had on the outcome of the primaries. Now, today we want to focus on the importance of loyalty in leadership, right? That's the question. How important is loyalty in leadership? Now, please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. You can also tweet at us at Wayshow Africa 1 with the hashtag Wayshow. So, when the subject of loyalty was just flying all up and down, when Rino Omokri had gone out to say that while he doesn't like, what's his name, Tinubu, he cannot help but understand that, you don't do that to somebody almost like the fingers that fed you. So literally the political journey of Professor Yemi Osinbajo has been a journey where he's had like the full backing of now the flag bearer, that's Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So over his career, I mean, yesterday I took a story of a man that had said that he was one that introduced what's it called, Tinubu to Asiwaju to Tinubu, and and he was saying in that report that he regretted his actions. If he had known, he would not have introduced, because up until that time, I mean, Asiwaju was like nowhere politically. So he introduced him, and of course he then became Attorney General and all of that, and now up until the point where he was, like nominated by Asiwaju as, becoming the vice president. So, I mean, when you listen to Reno Omokri saying that he was holding forth for Asiwaju, because everybody knows that he's always had he had always nursed that ambition that I want to also, run for office. So it's actually an intriguing thing. So when all of this drama and the flying around of loyalty was going all over the place, it just brought me back to when our beloved Fashola was being screened by the Senate. I think I had to go look for it, because I took some screen grabs when he was being screened, and there was a particular question that he was asked. Then he went. I mean, that story was that quote went all over the place, right? He said, "May your loyalty." May your loyalty not be tested, because it was so deep, and the entire, Senate people said, may your loyalty, the entire senators, right, themselves, they shouted a big amen, because even them, it seemed to them that because loyalty is such a strong, attribute for, especially in the political space, right? Because now, the question you asked before, I said, let's take a break to have the conversation. If you even listen to Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he alluded to the fact that Professor Yemi Osinbajo was loyal to his principal, which is supposed to be the person he's supposed to be serving under, right? But there was another part of loyalty. So how was he supposed to? I don't get it. Because if, for instance, now, right, it's almost like putting him in a tight corner.
Yeah.
You give me a job to do. You say, go and represent me and do this job.
Yeah.
Right? And if the person that I am working under probably hates your guts, but you sent me, I don't understand how this works. But let me understand your thoughts on loyalty and how important is it, in leadership.
Well, loyalty is everything in leadership. But how? Let me take it from this premise. Loyalty is relative. And why do I call it relative? It depends on whoever is being loyal. Why am I being loyal? That's the first question. Why should I be loyal? In what context should I be loyal? What's the situation that I have to be loyal to in that particular way? We have corporate entities being loyal to making profits. We have the politicians being loyal to whoever brought them into power. But however, are they supposed to be loyal to those who brought them into power, or loyal to those who they are supposed to be serving? That's the key thing here. So that's why I said loyalty is relative. And if I recall, in one of our interviews with Dr. Sam Adeyemi, he said that these our leaders are meant to serve us. They're supposed to answer to us. So they're supposed to be loyal to us in the first place. Loyalty is supposed to be unswerving loyalty. You don't have to, unswerving allegiance. You don't have to, put your mind in any other thing. And I think that's why I understand when they said, may your loyalty not be tested. I understand where they're coming from. Loyalty plays a huge role in leadership, as far as I'm concerned.
The thing about this subject of loyalty is almost like, because, in the political arena, it's like loyalty has become weaponized. It's like so it's almost at every point in time you are because it is a yes or a no. Are you for me or you're not against me? You cannot be in the middle, right? You cannot be in the middle. It's either you are for me or you're against me. And if you are against me, you are seen, as the enemy, right? But I want us to bring it back. Because you said something about loyalty to... So there are so many arms.
Yes, it's
There's loyalty to your political godfather.
Yes.
There's loyalty to the party.
There's loyalty to...
There's loyalty to your
people.
principal, whoever you're working under. And there's loyalty to the people.
Yes.
So it is a very strong, what's it called, attribute that every leader should be able to find a way to maneuver. Because I don't know how it will play out where the agenda of your party is not in line with the growth of the people. How do you stay loyal? So is that possibly why maybe somebody like a Peter Obi saw that this party will not deliver what I think I want to promise to the people? He then decides, you know what, let me step back to go to where I think I can exercise some level of authority to be able to at least deliver whatever it is that I've said I'm going to do, my promises, right? Because loyalty is huge. And a lot of times we see that with our political leaders, we see that it is always ambition, it is always party over people.
But not about the people.
Never about the people.
Never
about the people. So I was now thinking in my head, right? Should the vice president, should he have just followed, his political godfather blindly? Does loyalty mean that
my question,
you follow
The question I asked is, how are you sure that he did not follow his political godfather blindly? Because look,
except maybe all this drama that we are seeing is just us they are lying to.
It's home video. Look, I
you don't believe that. You don't believe they're fighting.
I don't believe they're fighting. I mean, after the election with the president, the current president, Muhammadu Buhari, and his opponent Atiku Abubakar, they actually shook hands. And at the end of the day, who suffered? People died in that election. People lost their lives. And in the course of people's properties were destroyed in the course of that election. But at the end of the day, what happened? They shook hands.
But they said in politics, there are no permanent enemies. Only permanent interests.
Only permanent interest. I was going to say that. Because it's not about the dynamics of politics. Look, it is the more you look, the less you see. And I will harp on it. Because the game it has just begun, actually. And as it unfolds, as the days rolls by towards election, you get to see the dynamics of the real election or the real politicking playing out. So I don't think for any reason that he was against his political godfather. I think for some reason they played a card which actually ended where they actually wanted it to. I think there's a book called The Master of the Game by Sidney Sheldon. Now that book is actually leading your client or whoever you're talking to do exactly what you want them to do without you actually stating what you want them to do. So how is so sure
all of this was a game plan
it was
after all?
Orchestrated? I believe it was orchestrated. I don't think it was played out in the way it was played out. If not, believe me, I know my guy Tinubu, he will not take it lying down. He will not.
No, but I heard talking about him not taking it lying down. So I listened to his speech. There are just a few lines I want to put out there. Because this conversation, we are going to be talking politics for a very long time.
And it's not my favorite topic.
When he says a word like "you will not be forgotten," that is a very strong affirmation that if you stay loyal to me, if you stay true to me, I will go all the way. You will never be forgotten.
Exactly.
When he said that, I said, So you see, I think he's someone that is big on loyalty.
Totally.
He's very, because for the few people that I have interacted with that have close proximity with him, he's very big on loyalty. So when he says you will not be forgotten, that tells me that, okay, this is someone that,
he holds in high esteem.
He holds those, those that you stood for me, I would be with you and all of that.
He's holding that person in
But
high
when you
esteem.
talked about, he will not take it down.
Lying low.
Said the cat that laid down quietly is not
It's not pretending to.
It's not a pretension of death.
But waiting to devour.
Breathing of the energy to devour it. we are in for Gbasgbos
like
in 2023.
I told you, the drama has just begun. The drama has just begun, and the more we glide or we head towards or we galvanize towards the date of election, the more the drama actually unfolds. We get to see what the dynamics
I want to ask a
actually
question
is.
because you see, the definition of loyalty in Nigeria is somewhat skewed. Where you see that people that are meant to, so now loyalty means, loyalty means for me, or the way I see loyalty means now, what it means is we're not putting competence, we're not putting credibility, we're not putting that, oh, this is the best person for the job, and we're not putting all of those attributes in consideration. All we are putting is that this person will die for me, this person will kill for me, so at that point, anything this person wants, I'm going to give it to the person. So if we then structure this and impute that as part of our what's called blueprint, the way we work in terms of like picking of and selecting of probably your cabinet members and all of that, based on the fact that these guys were loyal to you, would we see any form of progress in Nigeria? Given that, yes, no, we have to be very sincere with ourselves. Because if you say that you are hell-bent on loyalty, sometimes, right, you might not be loyal to me personally.
Totally.
But you might be loyal to the cause called Nigeria. You might be loyal to the brand called Nigeria. You might be loyal to the fact that good governance, right? You might be loyal to good governance. You might be loyal to the overall bigger picture. But personally, both of us don't have that rapport. You are not loyal to me as a person, right? You are loyal to whomever.
To the interest.
Yes, you're loyal to whomever.
A common goal.
Yes, is projecting that common goal.
Yes.
So shouldn't that be much more important than, you know?
You see, oh wow. You see, that I think that is why we're in the pitfall we are in currently, where we churn out the crop of leaders we have. Let's take it back to when we had the pre-independence. The crop of leaders we had then, all they wanted was what? Independence for Nigeria. They had a common goal. They wanted independence for Nigeria. But currently, what is the common goal for each crop of leader we have brought up today? It's personal interests, self-satisfying greed. It's as simple as that. So there's nothing on the table that says this is where we are going to, but there is a lot of lip service to where they want us to go to. But are we really getting there? No, we are not. So totally, we have churned out the crop of leaders we have today based on, loyalty, blind loyalty, basically, which is unswerving allegiance to whatever this person says. If the person says I should give an arm, I give an arm. If the person says I should draw blood, I'll draw blood. It doesn't matter what I have to do, but so long as I am in the good books
of that person.
I'm in the good books of this individual. So it's not about the person, and like I stated, loyalty is relative. Again.
We shall be right back. I have a few things I'd like to read. Stay with us, we'll be right back. All right, thanks for staying with us. Now, if you just tuned in, we're discussing this topic, right? How important is loyalty in leadership? Now, please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-4663. You can also tweet at us at Way Show Africa 1 with the hashtag Way Show. Even me right now, I'm looking for loyalists. I like people in my corner. But you see, I hate the idea that you're not competent at your job, but you think you can, what's it called? Sycophancy and mediocrity. So I saw this and I would like to read. It said, while I firmly concur that the concept of loyalty is strange, the reality is that loyalty is an integral part of human existence, right? Which plays a defining role in relationships.
Totally.
Because trust me, I can only come close to you, Issy, when I know that come rain, come sunshine, Issy got my back.
Absolutely.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
That you can't take that away. It's a loyalty takes no prisoners. It's either for or against. The age-long argument about loyalty over competence reinforces the uniqueness of the concept where professionalism is sacrificed
totally
over perceived allegiance.
Totally.
Do you understand?
Totally.
That you are competent at the job is completely thrown out of the window.
Out the window.
We don't care whether it is, as long as you are
loyal to me. And that,
so maybe should we start to shift where the loyalty should lie? Because now Nigerians will be waiting, right? They're waiting for, people to come out with their manifestos and let's see, should we start to shift where this loyalty is? Because that is a big promise. When you tell people that you will never be forgotten, that's huge. For you to promise that, it means that come rain, come sunshine, as long as you've done this for me, so no matter what, even if you are not the best person for the job, know. So because again, to whom much is given, much is also expected. For him as a person, it tells you that if I give you my word, you understand, you can bank on it.
Totally.
Because that is his person.
Totally.
And that's why for him, those kinds of loyalty is there to him, right? So we are now looking at conversations around, oh, this person was there for me. I suppose this person is the right man for the job.
Yes.
So this completely keeps me at a state of perpetual worry. That it means that for every single time, I've had friends that are in positions of authority, and I tell them, see, don't give me this job because I am your friend.
Give me the job
because you know I can deliver. Right? So because, okay. It says, I was going to say that I know it sounds like malediction. Oh, no, let me try this. No politician ever wants his loyalty tested. Although they all profess loyalty to the people they hear, we know that their loyalty is mostly to themselves and their interest. Thus, we ever want to get the best, if we ever want to get the best out of our leaders, the best invocation is that one call is the one that calls for loyalty to be tested, for their loyalty to be tested. Oh my God. So to whom do you owe your loyalty? Is it to the people, to the kingmaker, to the cabal, or even loyal to the Federal Republic, whose passport gives you cover to roam the world? Let your loyalty be tested again and again to see if you will side with the people or remain the Godfather's accolade forever. Do you understand? So now, I am just trying to put this at the front burner.
Yeah.
As Nigerians, the 200 million people in Nigeria, we need to start questioning our leaders. Come 2023, we need to start testing their loyalty lie. Who will be your priority? What will be your priority? Do you understand? So that there are things at least we can hold them account to. But this country, I am still trying to be very positive and optimistic, right? But just let us begin to test that loyalty, because it's where we are as a nation. We can't keep saying that, oh, we can't do anything about it. Or the cabals, the Godfather. Yes, they exist. But we need to start, whoever that comes out to say, you know what, they want to be our leaders, our presidents, our governors, or what's it called, local government chairman, representatives, senators, and all of that. Let us test that loyalty. Who are you loyal to? Are you loyal to your party? Are you loyal to the cabal? Are you loyal to the kingmakers?
Or you're loyal to yourself? People? Or you're just loyal to yourself.
Absolutely.
Another thing, we should also look into is the fact that there was a story about, let me just take us through the story, then I'll hit my point. There was a story of Mahatma Gandhi when a woman came to him and said, okay, everybody, the sugar story, yes. And everybody's, we all understand the fact that we believe in a particular thing, but we can tell them, do what I want you, do what I have stated that you should do. So a leader is someone that guides with example, which was what Gandhi did when he told the boy, let me go and find out, let me first of all stop eating sugar. Yes, I'll stop eating sugar first. Before, already know the story, so I had to, go right in. he said, I have to stop eating sugar first before I told the little boy to stop eating sugar. That is leadership by example. The
and
question,
that one, he was holding himself accountable.
he was holding
as well.
himself accountable. So that's where the self comes into play. Are you loyal to yourself as a leader, or are you loyal to the people you serve? And how do you intend to guide the people? You give us tall dreams or tall rhetorics, and at the end of the day, what happens? We do not get what you have stated in your manifesto in the first place. So look, leadership by example is the first thing for me. I believe so much in it, and I think God bless my father's soul, he said that a boss is different from a leader. And the crop of leaders we have today, I'm sorry to say, are bosses. They're not leaders. The leader will lead by example, just like Gandhi did. And he was loyal to his people, because it's a two-way street. All right? It's not just about the people being loyal to him. They should be loyal to, the leaders should also be loyal to the people, or whoever they feel is the follower in that context. So the key thing here is the fact that as a leader, you lead by example. The boss does not lead by example, but says, go and do what I want you to do. And at the end of the day, I might not even be accountable for it.
So let me take a comment by Chisom. He says, hi guys.
Yeah.
Like seriously, what has Yemi's loyalty to Tinubu/Buhari got to do with 200 million Nigerians that have been exposed to perpetual
Poverty.
suffering on daily basis?
Yeah.
That's practically for their selfish interest. Let's talk about things that will make Nigeria better. I beg, thanks. Well, so the sad part, Chisom, is that this might seem like a topic to gloss over.
Yeah.
But you see, for me, I try to look at certain kinds of situations and prune it one after the other.
Absolutely.
When we continue to have leaders come out, because now, whether you like it or not, whether they say it in open, if they are confident, they can, sometimes you must own this thing, like say it with your full chest.
Yes.
Most of the people that stepped down, they've given them huge promises to say, if you step down for me, you get XYZ. Do you understand? It is a political game. So as long as loyalty is to this person, you will continue to be your
allegiance.
Your pipe would continue to flow.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So you might look at loyalty that is not a subject to discuss.
To be discussed.
But I can tell you for free.
But it's crucial.
Part of why we have the problem that we have today is that everybody is not focused on what is beneficial to the people. What they are more concerned is how this benefits me. How do I plug in? So you see a lot of people, sycophants. I mean, somebody says that we debase loyalty when we reduce its definition to groveling sycophancy. Don't let your loyalty become slavery.
Yeah.
Right? True. If they don't appropriate what you bring to the table, then let them eat alone. Do you understand? We should get to that point, and this is where I then applaud.
Well, they want to
Hold
eat
on.
alone.
This is where I then applaud Professor Yemi Osinbajo.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Despite he knew that the odds were against him, he didn't cower out and say, you know what, let me also come out and announce this big announcement that I'm stepping down for my big uncle or my big daddy or my political godfather.
Yeah.
We need to start having a lot of people that even at the heat of that that this might be like he has literally buried his political career, but he was ready to say, you know what, if it is because of the loyalty that I own to the people of Nigeria, let me be buried politically, right? We must get to that point, because you see, where somebody says may your loyalty not be tested, it means that if given the opportunity to pick between the Nigerian people and your political career or your ambition, do you understand? And the food on your table and how you continue to feed yourself, you will be, a lot of people would pick food. They will not think of,
the people.
No.
Not at all.
So, I like when this man was saying it, that if they don't appreciate what you bring to the table, like his intellect, his fine speech, his everything, and all of that, if they don't like what you bring to the table, then let them eat alone. Loyalty is a two-way thing, right? The followers are loyal to the leaders who is loyal to them. But overriding principle is that both the leader and the led are to be set are loyal to a set of binding principles. So let us begin to re-engineer our minds as to what this subject of loyalty is. Because now, it is all about what are you promising me? Once you promise me X, Y, Z, and this is what the delegate system, right? I keep on saying. And that's why I say to, I still said it yesterday, that you are telling people to go and get their PVC is already too late. Can we just forget about 2023? It does not exist. Can we start to say, you know what? Let's start to build political parties where eventually people that we think, that we believe that probably these guys have good intention, they are technocrats, they are this, they are that, whatever, we can then invite them and of course make them our own flag bearers and go out, to vote for them. For Nigerians who are not loyal, what we are loyal to is our stomach. We are loyal to,
there is poverty in the land, whether we like it or not. There is poverty in the land, and because there is poverty in the land, the people will first of all think, how will this
benefit me?
This benefits me. Now, but however, they're not thinking about the bigger picture. And what's the bigger picture? The loyalty of the next few years. What will the economy be like for them? They are not thinking about, they're thinking about the immediate benefit.
They're not thinking of the next generation.
They're not thinking of the next generation.
Absolutely.
So that's self. You said something earlier. What are the promises that I'm supposed to get from these individuals or these leaders that are stepping up to rule us or to stand in and say, okay, we want to step into this position of leadership? What are the promises? The ones that we already have we held them accountable? The monies that they have taken that they cannot account for, have we held them accountable? These are little questions. These are little but salient questions that we are yet to answer. Because these individuals still come back to us and tell us that we should vote for them. Why should we vote for them when the ones that we've already given, they say, when you said something earlier, to whom much is given, much is expected. We've given them so much of us. So much. And yet we are yet to get, I go to the market every day, I weep. Because everything is quadruple or triple. In fact, it's crazy.
You are not loyal to your pocket.
I'm loyal to my pocket. Just like every single Nigerian out there who will go out there, the first thing they are thinking about is, how will this economy get better? So that you go to the market these days, if you have small, I don't want to call big amount. If you have small change, it's half of it.
Let's take more comments.
All right.
Because it's
well, let me take.
While you're finding your comments,
yes, please.
I like the part that Tinubu said in his speech. He said, "This is a time to take a revenge." It has taken me way too long. I was just jotting down all the speech. When he says that he wants to take his revenge on President Buhari,
he threw a lot of jabs. It's just for some people to actually.
And guess what? You see,
the words.
The downside.
Yeah.
The downside.
Yes.
To leaders that are really big on loyalty. You must be loyal to me. You must be loyal to me. You must be loyal to me.
Irrespective of what happens.
You surround yourself with mediocrity.
Yes. Sycophancy.
A lot of sycophants.
Yes.
Right? Because guess what? They will just keep on feeding you what you want to hear.
Hypocrisy will thrive.
You will never hear the truth.
Yeah.
They will keep feeding you what they believe that you need to hear or you want to hear, so as to just keep having their way. And in your mind, you feel like, you know what, they've got my back.
Totally.
But you see, it's not like that. And again, when I study most politics, look at the politics that have played out with APC and PDP. So I hear the delegates got about $25,000. I know one delegate that went there. After this show, I'm going to call and see where's our share. But I'm just saying to you that. So when you understand that, shouldn't they be worried that these guys are only loyal to the dollars I am doling out, not really to me as a person?
Absolutely.
Do you understand?
Absolutely.
Because you see, there's that loyalty that a Buhari had. What he has as loyalty. People follow him in a cultic manner. And Buhari doesn't have to give you a dime.
A dime.
Do you understand? Well, you see, Atiku and Tinubu, they don't have that cultic following. People actually follow them because they are actually very great what's it called, dishes of,
Yeah,
doughs.
they're generous.
Thank you, that's the word I'm looking for. They're very generous, right? So if you are big on loyalty as a person, you're big on loyalty to you as a person, then you might be in a tight position, because hardly would you find the right people around you.
Totally.
What you would continue to find are the people that will just continue to grease your elbow, continue to just massage your ego,
and see what they can
continue
to get
milk from you.
As simple
And
as
so,
that.
and with that, we can never progress
Totally.
as a country. Well,
I agree
let me
with
take
you.
your comment.
All right, my comment goes thus. It says, "Good evening, my beautiful sisters of What Are You Saying? #ways. The importance of loyalty in leadership is very important and should be treated very well. My dear beautiful sister Isi hit the nail on the head by saying that loyalty is everything in leadership. It plays a big role and it is relative. There should not be sentiments or lip service in loyalty. The manifesto of a leader is very important and should be followed. According to Sister Uwa, a leader must be able to die for the follower, be there for the people, and make sure you put a smile on their faces. That is pure and genuine loyalty. Loyalty should benefit the people and not the leaders. A loyal leader should always pay allegiance to the people. God help us to have loyal leaders in Jesus' name." And said, "My dear sister Isi, you are welcome back. I miss you. Oh, my name is Daniel Ilo." Thank you so much, Daniel. I appreciate you as well. Thank you so much. So, look, he said one thing, that they will die for us. Will they die for us? They won't die for us.
They will not do.
There's no way they're going to die for us.
But you see, and that's where what is scary for me in all of this campaign and the shenanigans and the primaries going on. I have not really heard what is in it for the Nigerian citizen. What's in it for the people? It's just been about a lot of personal
rhetorics.
It's even more of personal ambitions that are just flying all over the place. Good evening, ladies. Nigeria is finished. Okay.
No, Nigeria is not
it's
finished.
A pity.
Please.
We are 200 million people and just feel they are digging Nigeria's grave. It's sad that APC has chosen a grandpa, and sick man. Nigerians keep sleeping. This is Tony from Munich, Germany. So this issue, can we just quickly touch on this issue of sickness for a bit? Should we leave it for tomorrow? Because we still have politics to talk about tomorrow.
Should I care?
Yeah, so tomorrow now we've seen the four major contenders: Peter Obi, Atiku, Tinubu, and Kokonso. So those are the four major contenders. It would be nice to ask our viewers, what do you think? Me, I'm not going to say nothing tomorrow, but I'm just going to ask you. But I just feel like, so we don't try to treat conventional topics. The conversation today is to get you back home to sit down and think. Because when we start to hear, and we must listen with intent of really picking out those, undertones.
Absolutely.
When you hear on a campaign like the Promise, and you're hearing, I will make sure you will never be forgotten, all of those, those lines are, things that will tell you that this country, at the rate that we're going, it means that things will just continue as status quo. Now, something really, I don't know if I should say this, but in my opinion, I have seen that this person is incompetent.
Yeah.
Completely incompetent. He's a governor of a particular state in this country.
Okay.
But for the subject of this loyalty, right? He's going for a second term. Right? So I'm now wondering, shouldn't this conversation, because you see, I want our leaders to think deep. Yes, I get that there's a part of loyalty that people must always show to you, that they're loyal to you. But shouldn't you also at least understand that in that your loyalty, be competent at your job? Is it bad or is it difficult to ask for competence alongside that loyalty? Because now it seems like whether you do the job, you don't do the job, right? We'll just keep on promoting you. You're not delivering on your promises. If Nigeria were your company,
we've had that play out
Nigeria,
time and time again.
You see, if Nigeria were your company, and somebody is not even making any effort to improve and to change and to make it good,
sack.
As long as the person is greasing your palm,
yes,
you just turn a blind eye.
Yeah.
Because the person is loyal to you as a brand.
Totally. That's the.
Would you leave that person in your company?
But if I was having someone as such in my company, I would not have such a person in my company in the first place. It's all about credibility, and your loyalty is not just about to me.
So
like
what comes first? It has to be credibility.
It has to be
before
credibility
loyalty.
before loyalty.
On that note, we will continue tomorrow. Before we go, do ensure you follow us on Instagram. It's at Wayshow Africa. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, and more importantly, follow all our engagements on social media. Like, share, invite your families and friends to watch, and follow the conversation. I'm not loyal though. If you missed today's quote, here it is again. Loyalty cannot be blueprinted. It cannot be produced on an assembly line. In fact, it cannot be manufactured at all. For its origin, its human heart, the center of self-respect and human dignity. It is a force which lives into being only when conditions are exactly right for it. And it is a force very sensitive to betrayal. We'll see you guys live tomorrow at 8 p.m. as we bring another great conversation to your screen. Enjoy.
Bye.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408, or send an email to marketing@plustvafrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
Hello, this is the Greater Lagos Vision, and I'm your host, Love Ikuku Oyedokun. Since assumption of office in May 2019, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has maintained his commitment to ensuring safe mobility of residents and ease of doing business in the state. This was demonstrated through the official launch of a security-fitted apparatus, safe, comfortable and modernized taxi scheme, codenamed LagRide, with a rollout of the first batch of 1,000 brand new GSC automobiles at the State House in Alausa, Ikeja. The ride-hailing taxi initiative, which has been operated on a lease-to-own basis, is a component of the state government's multimodal transportation blueprint being executed under the traffic management and transportation pillar of the themes agenda of the Sanwo-Olu administration. This is the Greater Lagos Vision. Welcome once again. I'm Love Ikuku Oyedokun. This episode features infrastructure, Sanwo-Olu State's commitment to ensuring seamless mobility to deploy technology for enhanced movements. Transportation, Lagos State set to host Maiden National Transport Technology Conference. Lagos Blue Line Rail, Sanwo-Olu says project will be electrified once vendors to stay away. Any city without a fully functional infrastructural system will suffer a setback. As such, engineers must be well trained in order to bring to bear their professional attributes to the growth of the nation. From an infrastructural perspective, the Managing Director of Lagos Metropolitan Transport Authority, LAMATA, Engineer Abimbola Akinaju, stated this during her presentation at the 2022 Alumni Luncheon of the University of Lagos Faculty of Engineering Alumni Association in Lagos. It was a reunion, a veritable networking opportunity for the alumni of the Faculty of Engineering, University of Lagos. It was also an avenue to give back to their alma mater through the launching of a 500 million naira fundraising project for the faculty. Away from that, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu and his team cashed in on the opportunity provided by the reunion to tell the impact of the alumni on the state's infrastructural development in less than 3 years.
And so the blue line you can see is a massive feat of engineering, and I'm sure all of you need to be proud of it. From 4 lanes, we changed the design to 10 lanes. So we took a massive right of way to do 10 lanes, and we were very smart to keep a rail corridor in the middle of it. So the alignment actually is about 16 lanes, because when you've done 10 lanes and you still have enough alignment to keep a rail, corridor, was the main feat. And that's why we're able to, preserve, and which was the most difficult option to take. But because we were committed at that time to say, you know what, let's have the audacity to want to do it, and that's why, we started it.
The 4 stations, Mile 2, Alaba, Igomo, and National Theatre, they're completed. You will notice that Mile 2 and Alaba, they have 2 concourses. Obviously, that's based on studies that had been done to determine sort of ridership that we would get, and we realized that, it's obvious. Mile 2 is a market area, so there's a lot of people there. So that's why we have 2 concourses that allows us to take on more passengers. It's the same thing in Igomo. Same thing in Alaba. Igomo and National Theatre are also completed. We have pedestrian bridges at each of those stations that allows us to bring passengers from one side of the expressway to
the Managing Director of Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority, LAMATA, spoke with journalists on the sideline of the event.
Infrastructure is owned by all. So it means that as an individual, you have a responsibility. Something has been built, not to destroy it, not to vandalize it. And so therefore, people also need to be aware and also take ownership. And that's what I always say. If something belongs to you, you are not likely to go and destroy it.
She also told the forum that over 5,000 people affected by the construction of the rail have been compensated by the Lagos State government. The Lagos Blue Line Rail on completion will be running on electric tracks with electric motor vehicle EMV, and as such, citizens have been warned to keep off the train lines. Handing down this warning shortly after inspecting the Blue Line Rail, the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, assured Lagosians that the completion date of the two rail projects remains. The train took off from the National Theatre Igomu to Orile, through Alaba, Mile 2, and back to the Marina exits of the state, having Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, some members of his cabinet, officials of the Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority, LAMATA, and contractors handling the project on board. The governor inspected the ongoing works on the Blue Line Rail project and stations, and a new 4-coach train, which according to him is a typical train that will be used on the Blue Line. He expressed satisfaction at the pace of work, maintaining that the project will be delivered on schedule. Sanwo-Olu was unhappy at the level of vandalism along the rail corridors and warned perpetrators to desist from such acts.
There are electric trucks. They are going to be running on electricity, and you will know that citizens or passengers or anybody whatsoever cannot walk on those things. Right? So, gentlemen of the press, you have that responsibility. From now, we begin to mention that. For the next 6 months, 8 months, we begin to mention that this track is not like the red line. The red line is DMU, but the blue line is EMU. So these are some of the communications that we need to begin to pass out, and they are electric train lines.
The governor also assured that adequate security would be put in place at every station and platform with the use of CCTV. He disclosed that the state was set to bring in from China additional 2 sets of 4 train coaches by September and October.
The additional trains that were procured for the Blue Line, we're going to be going to China when they open up, maybe in May or June, when it's completely completed, just to have a look and send it on shipment to probably get to the country before September, October. So based on the promises we gave you at the beginning of the year, we are still on track at both the red line and the blue line.
Recently, the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu unveiled the first batch of 1,000 brand new GSE branded vehicles, otherwise known as Lag Ride. This for sure is another step forward in the state government's drive to develop an efficient transportation model in tune with modernity and comfort. According to Sanwo-Olu, there's no plan to run existing hailing ride operators out of business, but to offer safer alternatives and clear the roads of rickety cars used for taxi business. Joining me in this episode is the National President, E-Hailing Drivers and Private Owners Association of Nigeria, Comrade Idris Shonuga, for more insight into the scheme. Thank you so much, Comrade Idris Shonuga, for joining us today on the Greater Lagos Vision.
Thank you.
Right, you are the president of the National President, Professional E-Hailing Drivers and Private Owners Association of Nigeria. Tell us, in Lagos State, the Lagos State government just introduced recently the Lagos Ride. Tell us exactly, how has it been? How have your members been faring since the introduction?
Thank you. Our members are very happy. They are very happy in the sense that the business of Lagos Ride is going to add value to their collective existence, in the sense that they are going to be using the brand new vehicles to run their transport service on that Lagos Ride. Unlike before, that they use old vehicles, popularly known to Kumpo, even Nigerian old used car, to run taxi business, which in different cases develop faults at the middle of roads. It's almost impossible to maintain those vehicles, you know. But the added advantage with Lagos Ride introduction is maintaining of those vehicles for the drivers who are beneficiaries. You see, running a transport business has been very difficult in terms of maintenance of the vehicles, because you are always on the road on a daily basis. And we don't have a good mechanic system in Nigeria. So majority of drivers patronized the road mechanics, dealing with all manners of spare part dealers, getting wrong spare parts to fix their car. At times, they spend double amount to repair the cars, and it's eating hard on them. But with the introduction of Lagos Ride, that comes with mechanical insurance, where the vehicle will be maintained for them for the period of 4 years, where the contract is between them and the Ibile Holdings, who is going to manage the operation of that business. It's a welcome development. So when we heard about this scheme that is being launched, and it concerns our industry, because the vehicle will be operated with algorithm, is online approach, unlike conventional way of transportation before, where you have to flag down. This is online, and we are e-hailers. So we approach the Ministry of Transportation that the Lagos State government cannot launch such a laudable scheme without giving the practitioner the sense of belonging, because we are e-hailers. We have thousands of trip history on Uber and Bolt, and we are professionals, so we need to get involved. So we apply, and the ministry directs us to the appropriate body that is going to pilot the Lagos Ride, which is the Ibile Holdings. So we met the MD, and we had to ask to write a proposal. We did not lobby. First of all, as a body, they deal with body, they deal with individuals. From the conversation, we approach them as a body. Then I think when I met the MD of Ibile Holdings, he made us to understand that the associations, the individuals, Lagosians who are interested in the scheme can apply. And we apply as an association. You understand? Then the procedure is like every other person. The requirement to be a beneficiary of LagRide is uniform. 20% equity contribution of the asset of 7.5 million. The interest of 10% for the period of 4 years. You have the equity, you have the down payment of 1.8 million, which we see it will be very impossible for our member, ordinary e-hailing drivers, to benefit from this scheme with such amount, because it's so huge for e-hailing drivers to sum up 1.8 million as a deposit. It means the ordinary person cannot be partaker of this scheme. So we appeal that is there any other way? And they gave us 2 banks, FCMB and Polaris Bank, precisely to give us loan, and they came up with corporate guarantee on behalf of the association for our member to be a beneficiary. The Polaris Bank will borrow our members, they said 1.8 million. You understand? Why are we standing for them? You understand? So, and our member has been applying. But besides, we, the individual members, also need to have some certain contribution from that 1.8 million, 20% equity contribution of 1.8 million, which is around 300,000. And we have employed our drivers, advised them to key into this because it's going to make life better for them. Then the most interesting part of it that make us to subscribe to Lagos Ride is that what the union stand for is workers' right, the workers' welfare. Because we notice that the government has been less concerned on the informal sector, because our interest is in the informal sector. The e-hailing drivers fall in informal sectors, and informal sector has been neglected for a long time. Some certain benefit workers' right has been denied, such as HMO, pension scheme plan, opportunity to have cooperatives, then perhaps mortgage plan. These are set of workers that solve problem of transportation in the state, moving passenger from one point to another point with expected professional service. They need to be taken care of. But to my dismay, all these things has been embedded in Lagos Ride business scheme, because our own concerns is that what are the provisions for the drivers that are going to drive this business? And we're made to understand that 1.5% commission has been set aside for the driver and their family of 4, which is what we HMO, health management scheme, under the plan. You see, when they charge 25% commission of each transaction consummated under the platform, 4% out of it goes into comprehensive insurance and mechanic insurance to maintain that vehicles, which I see as a welcome development. It wasn't anywhere included in their current module of operandi with other hub companies. And if Lagos State government put this in their business plan, I think, they are coupling international standard practice, which is why we are very happy with Lagos State government, particularly Babajide Sanwo-Olu, for making sure that all these things are embedded in Lagos Ride. With the notion of Lagos Ride, when we had meeting with them, if they follow all the process to the letter, I think it will reduce traffic congestion in Lagos State, because they are the first app companies that will introduce what we call carpooling. Carpooling means classification of rider, where 2, 3, 4 different customers can join one vehicle going towards the same destination. And with the introduction of brand new comfortable vehicles, I think a lot of Lagosians will keep their vehicle at home. What prompted a lot of Lagosians to make use of their vehicle are because we don't have a good, safe transport system. That is why everybody wants to have their vehicle on the road. And judging from the fact that we have less road and we have many people in the city, we are moving at the same time. But if we have a safe system, safe transport system, comfortable safe transport system, a lot of people will keep their vehicle at home and make use of Lagos Ride. What am I saying? With the introduction of this classification of rider, they will even pay less. They will pay less than the conventional taxi, where you used to pay 2,000 naira, you can pay less than 1,500, even 1,000, because you are sharing your ride with other customers, other users, meaning that the driver will end up earning more. You know, in the sense that the driver is supposed to have earned 2,005, and he collects 1,300 or 1,200 into 4 places, is getting 5,000 instead of 2,500. And the same distance cover when you pick only one person. You know, that will reduce a lot of traffic congestion if we can actually accept this concept introduced by Lagos Ride. You know, the traffic will be entirely reduced. But if Lagos Ride deploy enough vehicle, the 1,000 vehicle is not enough. I must be sincere with you. If we have more than this vehicle, handing over to those who needed job opportunity to pilot it, a lot of Lagosians will keep their vehicle at home and will make use of Lagos Ride. Lagos Ride can enter anywhere in the street of Lagos State, because the majority of these vehicles are SUV. They can enter some bad area. And we have sampled it. You understand, it is not low vehicle, it's high on the ground. They can maneuver some bad spot. I see it as a solution if it's being piloted appropriately. Online transport system is already a smart system way of transportation, coupled with a lot of mechanism being embedded in it to make transportation easy, using a stone to kill 2 to 3 birds. Number one, the lag ride is not going to be conventional taxi. You take request, the driver take request randomly, you know, and it solves the problem of moving within the city. 2-3 people can enjoy a ride. And this ride we are talking about is a global standard. Even a lot of people, since the launch of this vehicle, have been getting a lot of reports from our members that they are asking them, is it real? You know, because this is the first time we are seeing that government make promise and they are fulfilling it. I thought when me saw it, I thought I'm dreaming, but today is reality. You see, if it's being piloted properly, it will fit in what we call Smart City Lagos, because that is no different from what is being practiced in Dubai and what is being practiced in Lagos. The e-hailing service in Lagos State is already a smart way of transportation. Unlike those who promise us smart transport system, and we are still seeing car of 15, 17, 18 years, 20 years running a taxi. But we are talking about a recent car, 2-year-old car, to run a taxi business with a fast system and with a lot of security gadgets, you know, to contain any security threat, and making the movement in the city of Lagos very easy with the introduction of several mechanisms that will make life easy for Lagosian, for them to imbibe with this scheme. And I think, I don't know how they came about this, but I expect more of these things to come in later future. I want to really appreciate the office of Governor Sanwo-Olu for this laudable project. Is indeed a welcome development. And we, at Professional E-Hailing Drivers and Private Owners Association, are solidly behind him. We trust him again, and he's a man of his words. I was with him in 2020 when he said he's going to introduce a safe transport system. I didn't believe it will come to reality, but I'm seeing it in reality, May God bless him. Second time, we are with you fully, in spirit, in physical.
That's all we have in this episode of the Greater Lagos Vision on Plus TV Africa. I'm Love Ikuku Oyedoku. Bye for now.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408, or send an email to marketing@plustvafrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Booking November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
There is no voting on social media. To vote, you would require permanent voter's card. To get your PVC, visit cvr.inecnigeria.org. Create your account with a valid email address and start the registration process. An activation link will be sent to you. Click on the link and activate your account. Fill out the form, pick and submit a convenient date and time for your biometrics. Print the application slip, which should have your QR code. On the appointed date, go to the nearest INEC office for your biometric capturing. Thereafter, you will get a registration slip to pick your permanent voter's card when ready. Get your PVC today. This message is from Plus TV Africa.
On Plus TV News now. Tinubu bids Osinbajo Amaechi 11 orders to win APC presidential primaries. ECOWAS says it regrets junta's 24th month transition decision. World Health Organization says more than 1,000 monkeypox cases reported in non-endemic countries. Good evening, I'm Olamide Adeyemi. This is the news now. Asiwaju Bola Tinubu has won the presidential ticket of the All Progressive Congress. He polled 1,271 votes to defeat other aspirants at the party's primaries in Eagle Square, Abuja. He defeated Rotimi Amaechi, who scored 316 votes, and the Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, who got 235. He was declared winner of the contest by Kebbi Governor Abubakar Bagudu, who is also the chairman of the APC Election Management Committee.
His Excellency 10 Jack Rich, 0 vote. Dr. Obonaya Onu, 1 vote. His Excellency Senator Ahmed Lawan, 152 votes. Senator Ben Ayade, 37 votes. Chief Ikiobasi Mokelu, 0 votes. This is to certify that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, having scored the highest number of votes cast, and by the power conferred on me as the returning officer of this special presidential primary convention, I, Senator Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, do hereby declare Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the presidential candidate of our party in the forthcoming 2023 presidential election.
Asiwaju Bola Tinubu spoke after he was announced winner of the primaries.
The competition is now over. Those who did not support me, you have nothing to fear. I hold no grudges and grievances. Let us each agree to join hands in defending the PDP and defeating PDP and beat back their retrogressive understanding of Nigeria.
Consolidation and the sustainability of democracy has come to stay because of what we have just saw in Eagle Square. And we believe that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a grandfather in politics and in our contemporary politics. And he has done marvelously well for APC right from its inception. So this is time for him to be rewarded. And I'm really so excited for him to become the flag bearer of APC because victory is assured by him.
My hope is God will give him perfect health, which he has already. He will give him long life. He will make him the wisdom, the knowledge, the understanding he needs to carry the country out of this mess.
Still on the primaries, Senate President Ahmed Lawan has congratulated Asiwaju Bola Tinubu for winning the presidential primaries of the APC. Ahmed, who contested against Tinubu in the race, described the primaries as manifestly free and fair and hailed the former Lagos governor for prevailing in the race. Tinubu had polled 1,271 votes in the primaries, while Lawan got 152 votes. It was a landslide victory for Tinubu, as his tally was 4 times more than that of his closest rival in the race, Rotimi Amechi. Amechi got 316 votes, while the Vice President Yemi Osinbajo finished third with 235 votes. Beyond hailing Tinubu's victory and the conduct of the primaries, Lawan believes Tinubu has all it takes to lead the party to victory in the general elections next year. The Ekiti State Governor has congratulated Bola Ahmed Tinubu on his emergence as the presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress for the 2023 general election. Fayemi also congratulated the party leadership and the convention planning committee for the successful conduct of the special convention and presidential primaries, as well as President Muhammadu Buhari for superintending over a free, fair and credible process as national leader of the party. Fayemi said Tinubu's emergence represents the collective wish of the vast majority of members of the APC, adding that Tinubu has proven his dedication and competence to lead the country at an important time in history. Fayemi described Tinubu as a long-distance runner who has the capacity to lead the country to greater heights come 2023. Still on the primaries, Ogun State Governor Dapo Abiodun has also congratulated Ahmed Tinubu on clinching the presidential ticket of the party, noting that he is the favorite to winning the general election scheduled to hold in February. Abiodun said the emergence of Tinubu as the APC presidential flag bearer for the 2023 general election is a good omen for the party and the country as a whole. According to him, the victory shows that Asiwaju is widely beloved and accepted within the country's entire political spectrum, and shows his level of deep interactions and acceptance not only within the APC but across Nigeria. The presidential flag bearer of the PDP, Atiku Abubakar, has praised Bola Tinubu for securing the APC presidential ticket. Atiku took to his Twitter handle to send out a congratulatory message to Tinubu and praise his tenacity. Meanwhile, Atiku Abubakar today met with governors of the PDP in Abuja. This is coming shortly after the emergence of Bola Tinubu as the presidential candidate of the APC in the 2023 elections. The meeting at the Legacy House in Abuja was held behind closed doors. It was the first time Abubakar will be meeting with the PDP Governors Forum after a party's presidential primary. Although details of the meeting are still unknown, it is speculated to be part of a series of moves by the party to mend fences with all aggrieved members of the party and also strategize ahead of the 2023 elections. Reactions are beginning to trail the emergence of Asiwaju Bola Tinubu as the APC presidential candidate. The Ogun State PDP flag bearer Oladipupo Adebutu says Asiwaju Tinubu is not a threat whatsoever.
Why should that be a burden to us? It is not a burden to us. This is national politics. And after a while, those results will come and those results will go.
We're now being joined by the North Central Zonal Coordinator, Atiku Support Organization, and Senior Special Assistant to the Benue State Governor on Student Affairs, Honorable Angu Ogu.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah.
Also joining us tonight is political analyst Biodo Shoumi. Hello, Honorable. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Good evening, Nigerians.
Good evening. Moving to the primaries, the APC primaries, that the result was announced today. PDP had long waited for this day, and Atiku didn't waste time before calling a governor's meeting. Now, do you see this as a keenly contested election between two friends in 2023, and do you think the battle is over?
Thank you very much. Good evening, Nigerians. It's good to have me in your studios. and though via Zoom. We would like to congratulate Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu for his success at the convention of his party. He's now the flag bearer. But I would like to say that the PDP and His Excellency, the Waziri Adamawa, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, is going to trash his friend in 2023. And it's what Nigerians have always waited for. And like I will always say, it is Atiku o'clock. It is time for Nigerians to have a departure from the failed APC government. It is time for Nigerians to enjoy good governance. It is time for the insecurity we are experiencing in this country to be fixed. It is time for Nigerians to unify as a people. That is why His Excellency Atiku Abubakar is himself the unifier. So we are super excited. We are prepared to go into the 2023 general elections. And just like you said, we see two friends, two old horses in the battlefront. And we as young Nigerians, it's really exciting to say that we will be lining up behind these ones, not particularly because of their age, but for me, His Excellency Atiku Abubakar is a man that has a competence, that has all it takes to take back this country to its lost glory. A country that has been bastardized by the APC government in the last 7+ years. A country that we've lost our place in the community of nations. A country that within this short period has become the poverty capital of the world. It is really, really unfortunate. So Nigerians waited for this time.
Mr. Biodu, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. What's your opinion about today's primaries? What's your opinion about the outcome of today's election? Would you say it was free and fair?
Oh, yes. The election was not only free and fair, it meets all the required standards of transparency in the sense that it was manifestly seen by all that the vote in that primaries actually counted. And therefore, I think it's a model, something short of option A4, where people actually queue behind their candidate. I think it should be recommended. The way it has been conducted, the way it has been reported, monitored, clearly demonstrated fairness, in my view.
All right. Do you think Tinubu can close ranks with different factions within the party before 2023? Although he has said those who did step down have nothing to fear.
Yeah, don't forget one of Tinubu's major slogan is that he's a unifier. A unifier is somebody that brings everybody together and try and build a house out of so many houses. I have no doubt that if you read the speech which was delivered, the acceptance speech by Bola Tinubu, he clearly gave the indication that he intends, to unify the party, bring everybody together. And I have no doubt, that he will actually ensure that all bridges are built, all roads are tarred in a way that everybody can come together. Don't forget, this is the first order, getting this, being the flag bearer of the party. He needs everybody to join him in ensuring that he can be successful in the presidential election. So I do not see any reason why he will not be magnanimous in victory. because he actually needs his opponent. So I honestly think that he will reach out to his opponent with a view of to galvanize all the human resources within the APC, to confront the major opposition party, the PDP.
So back to you, Honorable. Do you think Tinubu's victory is a proof of his acceptance by the Northern delegate? Do you see him getting the same traction from the North at the general election like Atiku?
He is not going to be the president of Northern Nigeria. So I must say that, just like I said before, Nigerians are tired of the APC. The APC government led by General Muhammadu Buhari, it's a total failure. North to south, east to west. So it's not a question of the Asiwaju getting the acceptability or acceptance in the north. It is a question of the generality of Nigerians rejecting the APC party and whatever it represents, including their candidate. And Nigerians are ever ready to embrace the PDP and her candidate. And in this case, His Excellency, the Waziri in Adamawa, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. And this is a man that has a track record of fixing this country. This was a man that between 1999, when he was the head of the economy of this country, we experienced the highest GDP ever possible. We experienced all the other achievements that we've had as a nation were during the tenure of this man. And I would like to say that my brother and friend from Lagos stole the alias of my principal. It is not Tinubu that is the unifier. It is Alhaji Atiku Abubakar that is the unifier. Tinubu has never told us that he is the unifier. He was only speaking to his party people. But His Excellency Atiku Abubakar has come out to tell all Nigerians that, look, our country is balkanized, our country is divided, and I am the unifier. And he keeps saying that, to unify this country, to make it as one, because we need unity of purpose. And the APC government and whatever it represents doesn't have that unity of peoples. This country has been divided between tribal lines, have been divided between ethnic lines, and we don't see any of the APC leaders coming out to see how they will unify this country over time. So,
all right, so Honorable, I want to hear Mr. Showme's opinion about foreseeing Peter Obi snatching more votes from Atiku than from any other candidates. What's your opinion?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I didn't hear that question.
All right, I'm going to take it again. Do you foresee Peter Obi snatching more votes, not like snatching, but getting more votes from Atiku than from any other candidates?
Oh, Peter Obi?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, certainly. When you look at the way the whole thing is panning out now, I think Atiku will be somehow disadvantaged. You only need to look at the pattern of voting in the country since 1999. Usually, PDP dominates the vote, in the Southeast. Now, with Peter Obi leading the Labour Party, and with the huge swell of public frustration in the Southeast against the two major political parties, we are likely going to see a major swing in the Southeast towards Labour Party and APGA. And should that happen, the PDP candidate would will votes in Southeast will be decimated, badly decimated. So, and the further implication of it is PDP may end up, appearing to be a regional party at the end of the day, having lost so much in Southeast. So the new structure that will come into place will be based on the decision of the Southern governors. And if they mobilize people on that basis, we are likely going to see the APC gaining in the South-South and in the Southwest, and also in the Northwest, which is likely going to contribute to their victory. Whereas PDP is likely going to lose votes, particularly in the Southeast.
So my final question to the Honorable. Now, Tinubu's perceived political enemies within still have a choice. What's the possibility that they will not secretly join forces with an opposition?
Atiku is the unifier. And as of today, very top senators of the APC are decamping to the PDP. Former Governor Alero of Kebbi State, who is also holding very strategic chairmanship of committees in the Senate, just resigned from the APC to the PDP just yesterday. What am I saying? What I'm saying that the PDP as a party is unified. The PDP as a party is going to go into the election as one man and one people, so that, first of all, to rescue this country, to rebuild this country, and those are our slogans: to rescue, rebuild, and I've forgotten the last one. But what I like to say is, we are not going in. There will be no saboteurs. Since His Excellency Atiku Abubakar won the convention, won at the convention of our party, he has been moving around all the other candidates, galvanizing their support, greeting all of them. And there was no rancor, unlike what we saw at the APC, convention, which was more like tout.
Thank you so much,
we had a very peaceful convention, and everything went on very well. And as of today, just like your news mentioned, all the PDP governors are meeting with him, and we are putting out strategies on how we are going to rescue and rebuild this nation.
Thank you so much, Honorable. Thank you so much, Honorable Hangu and Mr. Biodu Shomi, for your contributions tonight.
Thank you very much.
All right. Moving on. Rabi Kwenkaso, a former governor of Kano State, has emerged the presidential candidate of the New Nigeria People's Party, the NNPP. Kwankwaso disclosed this during the convention in Abuja today. The former governor recently dumped the PDP for the NNPP. A renowned civil rights activist and founder of the Reset Nigeria Initiative, Prince Malik Ado Ibrahim, today won the presidential primary of the Young Progressive Party. He polled 66 votes to defeat his rival, Mrs. Ruby Isaac, with 4 votes. Though there were about 74 accredited delegates, only 70 voted. Former chieftain of the APC, Adamu Gaba, had been scheduled to be part of the YPP presidential aspirants, but withdrew from the race, saying that he suspended his ambitions to unite the youths. The crisis rocked the Labour Party deepened today as its factions led by Kalistu Zuju Okafor elected Chief Diga Ezewafu as its presidential candidate in Abuja. Ezewafu is a former Anambra chairman of the Labour Party, march at a national convention of the factional body in Abuja. The Julius Abure-led faction of the party had earlier elected Peter Obi as its presidential candidate for 2023. In his acceptance speech, Ezekwesili said it was on a rescue mission to salvage the country from all its socio-economic challenges. He also said he had a brighter chance of defeating the presidential candidate of other political parties, being a young man with energy and vigor. Now recall that there was drama in the Ogun State PDP governorship primary election between the faction of Oladipupo Adebutu and Segun Shobi, as two parallel primaries were held at different locations in the state on the 26th of May 2022. At a press briefing inside the local airport of the Murtala Mohammed Airport to Ikeja, Lagos, one of the candidates who claimed the victory in the polls, Oladipupo Adebutu, cleared the air. He dismissed claims that there was crisis in the party in Ogun State.
God willing, I think now that the matter is fully certified, if I can say that. I guess from all intents and purposes, we should be able to move forward like one united family. But we will take it as it goes. We thank God that for the first time in about 10 years, the PDP family has been able to conduct one primary by one panel empowered by the National Working Committee of the party, all forms deriving from the national body, and that panel has conducted one primary. Everybody has an option to express an opinion, and it is only within his rights to express such opinion. The sky is blue. Anybody can express an opinion, but we are certain that all is well within the law in PDP. As it stands now, we have an incumbent government of misrule. It's a governance of lies after lies. Is it that the government as a whole is inundated with generally an aura of misfits and people lacking of dignity? God willing, it will be not too difficult a task to sell our programs to the people of Ogun State.
Following the protest by students of Ambrose Ali University, Akpoma, over the lingering strike by ASU, the Edo State government at its State Executive Council meeting today suspended all union activities across all state-owned institutions of higher learning. The affected unions include ASU, Non-Academic Staff of Universities, Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics, Non-Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics, and all allied unions operating across all state-owned tertiary institutions. Theresa Ogbu took 2 of her 5 sons to celebrate Pentecost at a church in the Nigerian town Owo. Only the boys returned. Details in this report.
13-year-old Victor and his brother escaped after gunmen opened fire during Mass. But Teresa's body was discovered later, lying in a pool of blood in a church aisle. Benedict Ogbu, a farmer, is now a single father of 5.
I miss her seriously. It's just like somebody have 2 hands and they cut one hand. Something that the 2 hand is now carry you try to use one hand to carry it. In fact, it's very heavy now if I think of it.
The motive behind the attack on the St. Francis Catholic Church is as yet unexplained. The identities of the assailants not revealed. Officials say 22 people were killed and 50 injured.
How it happened.
But those figures don't include all the victims, like a husband trying to hold his family together or children left without a mother.
The federal government has been urged to include gender studies in academic curriculum from primary school up to tertiary level. Making the call during a sensitization on gender-based violence, the principal of Government Girls Secondary School, Yola, Rikfuatu Magaji, said the call has been imperative in view of the rising cases of sexual and gender-based violence in the country. The program was organized by the Southern Foundation for Peace and Development with support from the Spotlight Initiative. The reports.
This is a sensitization program on gender-based violence in Yola, Adamawa State. The principal of Government Girls Secondary School was represented by Gilando Johanna Kwem, a teacher in the school. The principal promised to step down the knowledge lent to other students of the school.
The government should do something to include this issue of gender-based. As for me, if you ask me, I would even prefer that the government should include at least gender studies from primary school, secondary, that is junior secondary school and senior secondary school. It will go a long way in curtailing this issue of gender-based violence. And then thirdly, our legal system should be able to find a way of not only hearing, but they should be able to find stringent measure of punishing gender-based violence.
He called on the authorities to ensure stringent punishments on perpetrators of gender-based violence as they constitute a menace to the society. Also speaking, Amina Mohammed Ali, the program assistant of the foundation in Adamawa State, noted that the aim of the project is to work with relevant stakeholders, including traditional religious and youth leaders, to end the menace which has become rampant over the years.
What we are trying to do is that in this second phase we are going to engage girls and boys in secondary schools and also boys in tertiary institutions to see how we can bring a shift in the social and gender norms or gender stereotyping with regards to women and girls, so that the girl child or the woman is allowed to, how will I say it, obtain her full potential in life and her livelihood so that she can be a better person for herself and the society.
She called on the general public, especially parents, not to hesitate in reporting any form of gender-based violence, noting that the lethargic disposition of communities towards such cases makes perpetrators to be emboldened to commit more of such atrocities in the future. Some of the students spoke on gender-based violence, noting that they were positively impacted by the knowledge acquired. They vowed to be good ambassadors of the campaign against any form of gender-based violence, as it is inimical to the well-being of those affected.
Girl child and women are being violated because they said they are the weaker sex. Like they said we have harmful traditional practice like harmful female circumcision.
Even though we learn in order to help the future generation, it won't work properly because actions are not being taken. So the rape will keep increasing and things are not going to move further. So I just suggest that they should do something.
Also speaking, the representatives of the National Human Rights Commission, Fatima Mandara, urged the schoolgirls not to hesitate in reporting any form of sexual-based violence to the authorities, adding that our organization is always ready to receive and act on any form of human rights violation.
If violated, you should report it to our office. You understand?
Still ahead. Belgian king reiterates regrets for colonial past in Congo, but no apology. Details when we return.
Life can be fun and rewarding, but it also comes with some risk. As in business, you win some, you lose some. And that's why you need to be wise in the choices you make. It's like placing a bet. Again, you need to be wise. Wise in choosing an innovative platform with the highest market options and highest odds ever. That's why Winners Golden Bet, the leader in online, in-shop, virtual, and live sports betting, gives you enhanced platforms that offer you the best chances of winning. For betting on live soccer matches, live dog races, and virtual games. Winners Golden Bet is your best bet. Instant payment of winnings guaranteed. Play online or in any of our numerous shops nearest to you.
Hey guys, be wise. Play on Winners Golden Bet.
Winners Golden Bet, the wise choice.
Moving to other parts of Africa, ECOWAS says it regrets the decision of Mali's head of state, Colonel Assimi Goïta, to extend the duration of the transition by 24 months from March 26, 2022. The regional bloc, in a statement on Tuesday, expressed disappointment that the decision was taken at a time when negotiations are still taking place to reach a consensus. ECOWAS, however, said its mediator will continue discussions with the Malian authorities with a view to reaching a mutually acceptable timetable for the transition. Belgium's King Philip has returned a traditional mosque to the Democratic Republic of Congo as a goodwill gesture during his first visit to the former Belgian colony since taking the throne in 2013. Details in this report.
Belgium's King Philippe returned a traditional mosque to Democratic Republic of Congo on Wednesday. It was, he said, a symbolic gesture in a country where many remain angry at Belgium's failure to apologise for decades of brutal colonial rule.
Je tenais, au moment de votre visite,
I wanted, during our visit at the National Museum and in your presence, to return to you this exceptional work.
exceptionnel, afin de permettre
in order to allow Congolese to discover and admire it.
et de l'admirer.
The initiation mask of the Suku people has been held for decades at Belgium's Royal Museum for Central Africa. It was offered to Congo's National Museum in Kinshasa in what the monarch called an indefinite loan.
Elle marque le début symbolique
It marks the symbolic beginning of the reinforcement of the cultural collaboration
et muséal
between Belgium and Congo
et la République démocratique du Congo.
By some estimates, killings, famine and disease killed up to 10 million Congolese people in just the first 23 years of Belgium's 75-year rule, a period in which King Leopold II claimed the country as his personal property. Perhaps most notoriously, villages that missed rubber collection quotas were made to provide severed hands instead. In 2020, Philippe became the first Belgian official to express regret for the suffering and humiliation inflicted on Congo, but he stopped short of saying sorry. Some Congolese are demanding an official apology during the first visit of his reign to the country. Congo's president, Felix Tshisekedi, and many other politicians have, however, enthusiastically welcomed the royal visit. So too some residents, who hope it will bring investment and a renewed focus on conflict in the east of the country.
And outside Africa, more than 7 million people have crossed the border from Ukraine since war broke out there, according to the UN Refugee Agency. A total of 7,023,559 border crossings have been recorded since the Russian invasion began on the 24th of February, the agency's tally showed today. The number of individual refugees from Ukraine recorded across Europe stood at 4,712,076, with Poland, Russia, and Moldova among the top host countries. Drone footage shot at the start of the conflict showed queues of cars for miles as Ukrainians try to escape the violence. Most are women, children, and the elderly, as men under the age of 60 have been stopped from leaving by Ukrainian authorities. Human rights groups say they had submitted papers at the High Court in London today to get an injunction to hold next week's planned deportation of asylum seekers from Britain to Rwanda, a scheme that has drawn widespread criticism. Britain's government announced in April it had struck a deal to send potentially tens of thousands of asylum seekers to Rwanda in a bid to undermine people smuggling networks and stem the flow of migrants risking their lives by crossing the channel in small boats from Europe. The first flight taking the migrants to Rwanda is expected next week.
Concerns are that the policy might not in fact be lawful, that it might contravene international refugee law and human rights law. And we think it's very important that the case is heard and this is properly determined before anyone is sent to Rwanda.
Up next, Nigeria's import from China rise by 183.91%. That's $83.67 billion. That's some business news after the short break. Stay with us.
Welcome to Business News on Plus TV Africa. Nigeria's imports from China rose by 183.91% from 530.98 billion naira in the first quarter of 2018 to 1.5 trillion naira in first quarter of 2022. According to the National Bureau of Statistics data on foreign trade, China is responsible for most of the import into Nigeria. In the 5 quarters under review, China was the #1 nation on the top 10 countries. While China is responsible for the bulk of the nation's import, export to China is negligible according to the available data. The country was missing from the nation's top 10 export destination in first quarter 2018 and first quarter 2020 and first quarter 2022. Only in first quarter 2021 did China rank on the top 10 export destination when it ranked third with 190.11 billion naira. In the same quarter, total imports from China were put at 2.01 trillion naira. Now, the World Bank has slashed its global growth forecast by nearly a third to 2.9% for 2022, warning that Russia's invasion of Ukraine has compounded the damage from the COVID-19 pandemic and many countries now face recession. The bank said the war in Ukraine had magnified a slowdown in the global economy, which was now entering what could become a protracted period of feeble growth and elevated inflation. The bank's president, David Malpass, said global growth could fall to 2.1% in 2022 and 1.5% in 2023, driving per capita growth close to zero if downside risk materialized. Malpass, a former Trump administration official, said global growth was being hammered by the war, fresh COVID lockdowns in China, supply chain disruptions, and the rising risk of stagflation, a period of weak growth and a high inflation last seen in the 1970s. Now, the federal government has declared that it is committed to increasing Nigeria's cocoa production from the present 340,000 tons to 500,000 tons by 2024. This was disclosed by the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Dr. Mohammed Abubakar, in a statement after a meeting with Arion Michel, Executive Director, International Cocoa Organization in Abuja. The minister revealed that Nigeria is the 4th largest producer of cocoa globally and is committed to partnerships in its cocoa development. Apple must change the connector on iPhones sold in Europe by 2024 after EU countries and lawmakers agreed to a single charging port for mobile phones, tablets, and cameras in a world first. The political intervention, which the European Commission said would make life easier for consumers and save them money, came after companies failed to reach a common solution. Brussels has been pushing for a single mobile charging port for more than a decade, prompted by complaints from iPhone and Android users about having to switch to different chargers for their devices. iPhones are charged from a lightning cable, while Android-based devices use USB-C connectors. The company, which did not immediately respond to a request for comment, had earlier warned that the proposal would hurt innovation and create a mountain of electronics waste. Despite that, its shares were up to 0.9% in morning trade in New York. And that's it on business news. I am Khadijat Balogun. The news continues.
Up next is entertainment news.
A 33-year-old Georgian man suspected of murdering Atlanta rapper Trouble has surrendered to deputies. According to an LCSO news release, Jamichael Jones was arrested without incident and taken into custody by the Rockdale County Sheriff's Office for the connection to the shooting of Atlanta rapper Mario Orr, also known as Trouble, on June 5, 2022. Jones agreed to turn himself in and has been charged with felony murder, aggravated assault, home invasion, and battery, or was found with a gunshot wound at the Lake St. James apartment in Conyers. Russia has added an additional 61 names to its list of blacklisted Americans in retaliation to the country's economic sanctions over the invasion of Ukraine. The updated list, published by Russia's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, spot Netflix co-CEO Reed Hastings. The executive joins over 1,000 politicians, entertainers, and moguls permanently banned from entering Russian territory. In a statement released by Russia's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the U.S. nationals were blacklisted in response to a constantly expanding list of sanctions imposed on Russian politicians and public figures, as well as representatives of Russian businesses. Other notable names on the list are President Joe Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, Meta CEOs Mark Zuckerberg, and actor Morgan Freeman. BET Networks has responded to Lil Nas diss track. The organization released a statement shortly after the Montero Call Me By Your Name hitmaker released a snippet of his new song following the nomination snub. Unfortunately, this year, it was not nominated by BET's Voting Academy, which is comprised of an esteemed group of nearly 500 entertainment professionals in the fields of music, television, film, digital marketing, sports, journalism, public relations, influencers, and creative arts. Nas X previously performed the hit track Montero Call Me By Your Name at the 2021 BET Awards. Nollywood actress Kemi Lala Akindoju has slammed people speaking against Christians participating in the Jesus Challenge on Twitter. Earlier on Tuesday, gospel singer Nathaniel Bassey called on Christians via his Twitter handle to trend a picture with a white background and Jesus written in a red-colored font. The trend has been trailed by mixed reactions, as many praise the expressions of faith while others question it. Akintoju argued that several churches have been in the active drive of getting their members to register for their PVCs ahead of the 2023 elections. She further charged Nigerians to direct their grievances towards their leaders and lawmakers, instead of bullying Christians who chose to exercise their faith by trending the said picture.
Up next is Sport News.
Hello and welcome to Sports News on Plus TV Africa. Croatia midfielder Luka Modric has signed a one-year contract extension with Real Madrid and will stay at the European champions at least until June 2023, the club announced on Wednesday, June 8th. The announcement was made not long after the 36-year-old won his fifth Champions League title in a decade with the La Liga champions. He also won the Ballon d'Or in 2018. It is the second year in a row that Modric has signed a one-year extension with Real Madrid, as his current contract was set to expire at the end of June. Modric has played 436 games in all competitions for Real, scoring 31 goals and providing 73 assists. He is the 20th player with the most appearances in the club's history, 2 behind Cristiano Ronaldo. Along with 5 Champions League titles, Modric has also won 3 La Liga titles, 1 Copa del Rey, 4 Spanish Super Cups, 3 European Super Cups, and 4 Club World Cups at Madrid. 6-time major champion Phil Mickelson said on Wednesday, June 8th, he will not follow Dustin Johnson in quitting the PGA Tour as he prepares to feature in the opening event of the Saudi-backed LIV Golf Invitational Series. Former world number 1 Johnson and fellow American Kevin Na have both resigned from the PGA Tour to play in the controversial breakaway circuit, which is bankrolled by Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund and offers a total prize fund of $255 million. The 51-year-old is coming back after a self-imposed hiatus from the sport, following a backlash over his comments on the LIV series. Added that he did not condone the alleged human rights abuses of the Saudi Arabian government.
I have been a part of the tour for over 30 years, and I've had a lot of incredible memories that have been formed and experiences that I've shared, tournaments that I've won and been a part of, tournaments I've lost and been a part of. I also, and I've gained a lot. I've received a lot from the PGA Tour. I'm very grateful for that. I'm grateful for everything the PGA Tour and the game of golf has provided for me and my family. I've also worked really hard to contribute and try to build and add value to the tour during my time there. And I worked really hard to earn a lifetime exemption. And I don't want to give that up. I don't believe I should have to. I don't know what that means for a future, but I don't know what's going to happen. But I've earned that.
World number 10 Matteo Berrettini made his return to the court with a 6-2, 4-6, 6-3 victory over Radu Albert in Stuttgart on Wednesday, June 8th, nearly 3 months after suffering a hand injury. The Italian, who won the ATP 250 grass court event in 2019, underwent surgery in March and skipped the French Open as well as Masters 1000 events in Monte Carlo, Madrid, and Rome. The 26-year-old was dominant on his first serve and also fired down 21 aces against qualifier Albert to reach the quarterfinals. Berrettini is the second seed behind world number 5 Stefanos Tsitsipas in Stuttgart, which opens the grass court swing ahead of Wimbledon.
Spiel Satz und Sieg Berrettini. 2-1 Sätze, 6-2, 4-6, 6-3. 2 sets to 1, 6-2, 4-6, 6-3.
Sieger und damit im Viertelfinale.
And that's all the sports news we have for you for now. Join us next time. My name is Mikhail Tinubu. Have a good night.
And the main news again. Tinubu beats Oshibajo Amechi 11 orders to win APC presidential primaries as Kwankwaso also emerges NNPP presidential candidates. ECOWAS says it regrets junta's 24-month transition decision. And the World Health Organization says more than 1,000 monkeypox cases reported in non-endemic countries. That's the news now. For more stories, please follow us on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. I am Olamide Adeyemi. Many thanks for watching.
There is no voting on social media. To vote, you would require a permanent voter's card. To get your PVC, visit cvr.inecnigeria.org. Create your account with a valid email address and start the registration process. An activation link will be sent to you. Click on the link and activate your account. Fill out the form, pick and submit a convenient date and time for your biometrics. Print the application slip, which should have your QR code. On the appointed date, go to the nearest INEC office for your biometric capturing. Thereafter, you will get a registration slip to pick your permanent voter's card when ready.